Are you ready to run your short-term rental business like a superhost? If so, look no further than Guesty for Hosts. Guesty for Hosts offers listing management for all three major OTAs, Airbnb, Booking.com, and Vrbo. With Guesty for Hosts, you can create a branded direct booking website in minutes. I've been able to hit 61% direct bookings in my business and automate daily tasks such as communication with cleaners and communication with guests. Click the link in the show notes to get an additional $20 off your first month.
Welcome to Live, Let, Thrive, a podcast about the Airbnb life, the share economy, and everything in between. Here are your hosts, Myka and Steve.
Hello, hello, hello.
And welcome back to another exciting episode
of Live,
Let,
Thrive. What is up, Myka, man?
I am good, man. We're coming at you for the big episode. What episode is this, Steve?
200 episodes of Live, Let, Thrive, your favorite Airbnb, VRBO, home away, Uber, Lyft, all that. Share economy, fun stuff in the world, man. 200 episodes coming at you from Arlington and Fort Worth, Texas. And wow, it's a big milestone, man.
It is, man. I'm surprised we're here, but we did it. And so it's awesome. And we got two of our LLT family members with us. Who we got?
We got Mike Brown and Federico joining us today. I came up with nicknames for everybody, but I can't read Federico's because his is a little X-rated.
I don't know why. I'm scared. I just prefer not to listen to it.
Well, you know,
everybody.
Federico in the house from Argentina. Mike Brown from Dallas, Plano. Where are you at?
Dallas.
Okay.
Big D.
Is that the same as Plano?
No, man.
No, not at all.
Okay.
No.
I thought they considered.
You make somebody upset when you say that. Like,
Man, you lived there all your life.
Oh, speaking of Plano, y'all are being talked about all over the country right now.
Oh man. Yeah.
for the city. Yeah.
No, there was a rapper.
Citywide meeting. Yeah.
The city council meeting where this guy got up there and rapped some song about killing Vladimir Putin, and it was just this straight up white dude rapping his butt off in a full suit and tie. It was hilarious, man. So
we gotta put that link in the show notes.
I'll do that. And also, if you follow his Instagram, that's what he does for a living. He goes around to different city councils and he just starts having these rants, man. He went up to the one in Portland where I'm from, and he had a rant about Biden issuing out crack pipes, and he was like, no crack pipes, and he was lighting up a crack pipe in the city council. I was like, this dude is crazy, man. He's
gas prices way too high. Vladimir Putin has to die. It was so great. I loved it. And so, yeah, besides that, we're talking about some short-term rental economy today. What's going on, man?
Man, good stuff going on, man. Things are picking back up. But yeah, I think we have a lot of good stuff to talk about today because we had to bring this episode to y'all because we got so many texts about episode 197. My boy TJ actually hit me up, was like, dude, we got to do a clubhouse room on that episode. So we had to. I was like, okay, they like the four-headed monster episode. So here we are. And Steven, I want Steve and Federico to update us on their account. What happened with it?
Go ahead, we got it back. So finally, the resolution was that our account ban got lifted. We're back into having all the listings able to be booked. Basically, what we did, we submitted all the evidence. Just to recap, if anyone just don't know what we're talking about. A few weeks ago, we had an inspection in one of the buildings where we had 3 properties. One of the guests never acknowledged or messaged that the next morning we'll have a maintenance, an inspection in the building. The next morning after the inspection, the same morning of the inspection, they sent us a message saying that someone came inside and never knocked, and they were taking pictures of them while they were sleeping. And of course, Airbnb, opened a case while they were investigating the incident. They suspended our account. I submitted all the proof that what the guest said was not entirely true because, they stepped inside, but they knocked the door, and we had the Ring camera footage for that. We had emails from the manager saying that they the guest woke up, left the room, and then they took the pictures. And some other evidence that is submitted, and finally they come to the decision to give us back our account. In the meantime, we try to list new accounts, and this is a good learning as well, is any new account, if you create an account and you want to list multiple properties right away, you're gonna get suspended, because it looks like you're doing the scam where people, pick pictures from different listings and they list a place that doesn't exist. So their algorithm automatically blocks that account until you prove, and you send proof that the address and an invoice from a bill that actually exists. So yeah, we got it back. Big lesson here is try to spread your listings in different accounts, because if you have an incident in one listing, all your accounts are going to be affected. If you have different accounts and then you can manage them all from a co-host account, the only listing or account that's going to be suspended is the one that had the incident, and the rest don't get affected. So yeah, but we got it back.
Definitely good luck. Happy on guy for you guys got that back. And yeah, man, definitely having multiple accounts, man. I definitely have a couple of them that I have just for those purposes now.
Yeah, it was a crazy week, man.
I'll say I must have did a lot of back and forth, because I mean, from the time frame that you guys said you started from when you got it back, I mean, I've had resolutions for stolen items that have taken longer than that, or other damages and things of that nature. So it's good to hear that whatever you guys did expedited that process. So and like with anything, I mean, with Airbnb, you got to keep on them, you got to keep messaging them, you got to keep calling them. So I'm not sure if there's anything special you guys did aside from just send that info. But
well, there are a couple of things. First of all, when you get a case open, it gets assigned to one person, and you're subject to that person's work schedule. So you got to know that. But you can ask, if you're not comfortable with the person that's dealing with your case, and I wasn't very comfortable, you can ask for a second person to take your case. And that's something you can request to Airbnb, and they can change the person that's dealing with your case. I didn't do it because I didn't want to piss off the person I was already managing the case, just in case. But that's something you can do. And I was just constantly emailing this person and updating new information, and just asking what is the status, and asking why the rest of the listings are being affected. But anyways, I mean, there was a weekend that she was off, and then on Monday she lifted the restriction. So it took around 4 or 5 days actually, but it was around that time. The other thing that happened is that a few days later, I got a new email from Airbnb saying, we got this incident that it says that there were pictures of your guests. Can you specify what kind of pictures and if the guests were in the pictures? And it was a different person. So my instant response was, this case was closed, why are you asking me again? And it was right like 2 days after it came up in the news, that guy in Dallas that was taking photos and videos of guests. So, I think that creates some tension inside of Airbnb. I just replied that, why are you asking me again for a case that it was resolved? Then I got an email. We emailed the manager again saying, hey, can you clarify if the guests were in any picture? They say no. I sent an email again, and they say, okay, case closed. But I actually asked him, I was like, hey, are you gonna do something with this guest? Because they made a false claim that almost get our account banned.
We got everything resolved. After they were asking me about more details on the pictures, I just got an email from the property manager asking her, can you give me more details? Were the guests in any picture? They say no, they were not. I sent that, and they say, okay, case resolved. But my frustration was, and I sent this in many Facebook groups, people saying about this. Airbnb always sides on the guests, so I asked them, hey, are you gonna take any type of measures with this type of guests that are making false claims that almost got my account banned and suspended me for 5 days from doing business? And they were like, no, we cannot discuss what actions we're gonna take.
That's the scary part, man. Because and we were, and someone Feta sent something earlier, like a TikTok of this chick finding a recording device at her Airbnb. You know, allegedly you would think, okay, the owner left it there, or a previous guest might have left something plugged in to film too. You never know. You can't just blame it on the owner or whatever. Or my third possibility is the scariest one for us hosts, that they came in with one of those recording devices and they stayed at our place for a week or so, and then all of a sudden, hey, look what we found. We didn't notice it until now. And just to get a free stay on them, but that would get like a felony charge on us. You know what I'm saying? If they can prove, or they can say that, hey, this was there and they're recording us or whatever. And so it looks like a little USB thing with a little SD card in the back was plugged into the wall, and somehow she discovered it, put it on TikTok. Hey, look. And then all of a sudden the next frame shows her talking to the police. And it's like, oh, crap. You know, it sucks if that happens. If a host does that to somebody, of course, that's awful. But what I'm scared of is a guest doing that to one of us, you know. And so and as you saw, Federico, hey, they shut us down for 5 days, but there's no repercussions at all for a guest doing something like that to a host. That's pretty awful. One thing I came up with something, and I'm still working on it, is like put in the house rules or something. Hey, we do not leave anything plugged into any walls aside from the TVs and appliances. If you find anything, any chargers, electrical devices of any sort, please let us know immediately, because your safety is our number one priority. You know, that's okay. It's for the guest, whatever, but more it's for us showing Airbnb, hey, check this out. This is something we put in all of our listings to make sure the guests check and see if there's anything plugged in anywhere the suspicious. You know, that at least might help cover our asses if something like that, if there's a shady guest that's going to try some shit like that on us. So yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
I think that's a really good idea. Because that's something that, that's coming up. And now, like guests do try to get free stays. It's Airbnb, right? And they'll protect it. Yeah, that's a good idea, Steve. And I'm 100% with you. I just wrote down a note to put that in all my listings as well. Removing the charger. Yeah.
And I should have messaged to all of our cleaning crews with a screenshot of the TikTok video. I say, hey, Tim, there's been a lot of posts in social media lately about guests being photographed and recorded in Airbnbs. Please make sure you are looking into the outlets for any left phone charge, or this is how they look. And also people can sneak those on the smoke detectors. So I tell them, if you can check from time to time, that'll be awesome.
Quick question.
My question is, did you guys, I'm assuming probably not, were you all able to capture any like business interruption, like reimbursement for those days that you couldn't list and so on and so forth? Or in that, I'm assuming, did you have to cancel some bookings because of this on that same property, or no?
No, we didn't have to cancel anything. We could still run the reservations we had, even in the same listing, because again, they were investigating the issue. They were not, they were just not letting us get new bookings or book using Airbnb as a traveler. But there were, luckily our clients' properties were in their accounts, so those were not affected. And I was able to list some of the listings that got suspended, the ones that were vacant for the upcoming days. I will have some vacancy. We were able to list them in an existing account, and we got bookings there.
So
go ahead.
I was gonna say, so does that like I know you vary, and it's depending on client preference and so on and so forth, whether or not they use their own account versus your account. Obviously there may be some benefit to adding all of them underneath your umbrella, because then you could market them in a certain way that obviously boosts your ratings if you have good positive reviews. But does kind of offloading some of that help reduce liability and risk for things like this? So if something happens, they're the ones that are affected and not your account? Or how do you kind of?
So. Okay. I think so for two reasons. The first reason is cancellation rates. You never know when your client is gonna have to shut down their Airbnb if they, and this is something we talk about as well, if their lease says that they can do Airbnb, but you never know if they change management and suddenly they need to shut down their Airbnb. And if you need to, even though you can work with Airbnb when that happens to get all the cancellations done properly, still, I think it's better to keep it separate for that reason. The other part is that they get paid to their, that's something you can set up, that's something you can arrange if you can put your account into their profile. But usually our clients get paid and then we invoice them at the end of the month. Other management companies, what they do is they get all the payouts and then they pay the clients after taking expenses and management fees and cleaning fees. I think we have the relationship that we have with our clients allow us to just, you know, invoice them and pay anything that has to be paid throughout the month. But I think thinking it on a business perspective is always better to have the cash first and then pay them.
How long did it take you guys to get your account back?
I was around 5 days.
5 days.
It was 3 days of work in the resolution, but 2 days the girl was off. And
I never realized that, or I mean, I do realize that, you know, they do have off days or whatever, but how much that impacts the timeline for resolutions in general, because I mean, with all the people they have working, I mean, they can't, I guess they don't feel comfortable transferring someone else's case in the fact that they're not there. But I mean, I feel like if everything is logged and documented, you should easily be able to transition that to someone else, especially for something that's, you know, as high priority and as expedited as this is, you know what I mean? But
let me tell you something about how Airbnb works for that. Most of those jobs are outsourced, right?
Yeah,
they're outsourced in the Philippines. So actually, if you get a BA from the Philippines working for your company, there's a big chance you're gonna get someone with experience on Airbnb. So actually, one of our employees has worked on Airbnb. We had another one that her brother works on Airbnb. And of course, for company policies, they cannot share or help in those situations, but they can put some good feedback and input on how to deal with the resolutions. So that's something good. If you're gonna look for a BA in the Philippines, ask them if they work or they know someone that works on Airbnb.
Nice. Real quick, going back to the cameras, I just want to touch on it real quick. This is a big deal, a big issue. So let's say, I don't know if I would want to put these in, I mean, in all my units, but if you look up on Amazon, camera finder, hidden camera finder, or whatever, they make these little devices that a guest can, like, you know, push a button and go around. And if I guess if they see a light or feedback of some sort, it'll alert them there might be some kind of recording device. Anyways, they start off around $16 and go up to, like, you know, $70-$80. I think it might be, I mean, if let's say if you have that one house, like Mr., you know, some of our clients have just that one house making them, you know, $10,000, $15,000 a month. That's not a bad investment. $50, have it in there, and so you won't get shut down on your only source of income, right?
Man, get that for your cleaners. Let's get that for our cleaners.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea, because yeah, a previous guest might set up some crazy stuff just to record some people, you know. That's a good idea. Good idea for the cleaners. At least get one for your cleaners. So back to some positive stuff. This is some gloomy doomy. This is episode 200. We're having fun. It's the day after St. Patty's Day. So salud, cheers, slanchi, all that fun stuff. Virtual, slancha.
I wanted to actually touch on something that you and Federico brought up about your putting rainbows to, you know, cater to the no. Seriously, it's a good idea, you know. Putting rainbows to cater to the LGBTQ community in one of your units. Like, can you tell us what that experience has been like? And like, have you noticed like better guests or, you know, guests from that community, or how's it working out for you?
It's been fabulous.
I think I said it on the last episode. Dual income, no kids is amazing guess.
Thanks.
I mean, yeah, man. I mean, seriously, I from my previous work, I've been involved in the community a lot. That I have, you know, a lot of friends, and you know, it's just the best type of travelers. They have fun. They take care of your place in general, right? You can. There's always exceptions. Man, they're amazing. So what we did is like we always talk about catering for your avatar. We have this unit near the LGBTQ neighborhood in Dallas, right? Oakland. So our title always had a rainbow, right?
That was my idea.
That's his idea.
That's it, put a
And
rainbow
now something I've been doing for some of my properties, I've been doing like a collage for the cover picture, just to do something different. So I'm putting like 2 pictures of the property and 2 pictures of the area, or 2 pictures inside the property, and then an amenity like the pool, and then I put there's an Oak Lawn, there's like a sign that says Oak Lawn with the flag, and I put that one, and it's getting more traction as well. So yeah, it's been working.
I was wondering.
Take a step back. So you said avatar. For those that don't know what that term means, kind of explain that. Like, what does avatar mean? You're not talking about like the blue guy from the movie or whatever. Like, came back a long time ago, but.
Your avatar is your desired guest, the guest that you want to serve at any particular unit. You know, so if we have a house in this nice neighborhood, we're gonna want families there. We don't want frat boys partying there, right? So we're gonna do everything we can to market to and get those kind of clients. And like in the neighborhood, you wanna attract guests, the dinks, double income, no kids. You know, it's cool, families too. Everybody loves the rainbow. And but you want to really target to your clientele that you want to stay there. That's gonna be a good fit for that area, you know. So it's your avatar is your desired guest you want to serve.
I'm happy you guys, and the reason why I asked about the LGBTQ thing and how you guys were attracting them is because we had a LGBTQ people stay at one of our normal places that we weren't advertising for them, but we realized they like extra privacy, just, you know, things such as discrimination, things of that nature. And so I was wondering, I'm happy you guys found that you could cater to that community, and then they can feel safe in your listing, knowing, hey, it's in this neighborhood. Because we had, I forgot what happened. I think we had one of our maintenance people go out and they were working on the outside AC unit, and they kind of hit us up all freaked out. You know, they were like, hey, it's someone here, which they weren't doing anything. The person wasn't doing anything. He was there working on maintenance stuff. But on the other side, I didn't see me. I'm so far away from my listings. I don't know who these people are, but my mom knew who she was. She was like, yeah, we probably should have warned them that someone was coming, which I think we did. But, you know, the person went out there, and then my mom was like, yeah, because they were from the LGBTQ community. They like to have their own privacy, you know, so that's cool that you guys were able to kind of cater to that in that nature.
Yeah, I would think everybody wants privacy though, right?
Yeah,
I see what you're saying though. Yeah. I see what you're saying though. Yeah. You don't want to put them in like you know, Southern Alabama or something like that. We're getting off the deep end here. This is I don't know what. So it's I don't know. Yeah,
I think we need to keep it real, and we understand that people sometimes are not going to be comfortable in certain situations, right? I mean, it's like this house in Arlington that we have, right? That is in this.
3 beers in, by the way, man.
What's my first beer? Hey, I used to be in a lesbian band. I swear to God, I was in a lesbian band. I sang and played guitar in a 3-piece lesbian band. So I was the only non-les. Well,
that's why you wear the long hair.
I could.
I remember that.
I tell you, I played we played all over Oak Lawn and stuff like that. You know, the neighborhood, and they were the best. You know, best people. I love those girls, and I guarantee you, nobody in the crowd was looking at me. They were looking at the bass player and the drummer. So that's my.
Oh no, man! If your hair was long, they might have, you know.
And until I turned around, right?
But yeah, go ahead, Federico.
We're having fun today, guys. Come on.
Oh, what was it going? Okay, yeah. So you know, it was funny because we got this Arlington house that I talked about a few times. You know, it's in a how you call it, gentrified neighborhood.
Yeah, gentrified.
And we got this guest that, you know, she's looking at the picture. You know, it was a Karen. Just from the picture. I mean, it's wrong. You should not, you know, put people into boxes. You know, just looking at the picture, but you can tell the way the answer. Karen. Yeah, Karen, and she was just the way she was answering to her messages. It was like I was waiting for her to complain about something. I was waiting for it to come. We even, we're charging the deposit, but it was the first time she was using Airbnb. It looked like from her profile. So we told her she has to pay the deposit, and she was like, "But I already paid the deposit, the Airbnb." I was like, "Okay, it's fine. I mean, you know what? It's like we may want to avoid confrontation because they haven't arrived already, and we know that when they arrive, they may have something to complain about the area." And then they broke a coffee mug. I was like, it's okay, don't worry. I just let the owner know. I say, hey, listen, they broke a coffee mug. It's like $5. I'd rather not to open a resolution. Just let's take the cost and get a 5-star review because she said she will leave a 5-star review. And I said, she looks like a complicated guest. So the owner told me, like, why do you think, what makes you think she was a complicated guest? Right? I was like, okay, how can I tell you? It's not just a picture, it's the way she was answering the messages, the communication, it's just experience.
Yeah.
Sometimes the guest is on the other side. You can tell with, you get the feeling that, okay, sometimes it's better just to lose $5 from the coffee mug and get a good review and leave it there and avoid any kind of message that may erase any kind of confrontation. It's hard to decide, and it's hard to let it go and just avoid those confrontations, but sometimes you gotta do it.
Well, and to piggyback off of that, one of the things we had talked about last time, so you're talking about, so for somebody that has booked, whether they just before they arrive or even after they get there, you kind of have to have that gut feeling and filter. And I think that's where, some of the automation and AI is somewhat limited on the screening process. Is you still should have that kind of human touch to it, is, knowing when to say no to certain guests based on that kind of demeanor on the front end and the types of questions they're asking. Because, you have those screening questions to say, hey, why are you here? So on and so forth and whatnot. And then for some people that aren't sophisticated with their calendars and their pricing strategy and so on and so forth, especially for those that still are allowing one-night stays, which there's no problem with that. You can do one-night stays. You just have to have the proper protocol and screening process in place to mitigate any, risk for parties and so on and so forth, especially for houses, is, being willing to say no, right? To minimize something bad, happening. And I'll give you, an example, one that's pretty common for folks that have been in the industry for a while is, you get that one night booking on a Friday night, right? Or even a Saturday night. It's like, that's cause for suspicion right there. So, on the front end, you should already have that, set up in your calendar in a way that kind of minimizes that. But also, if you think about the other piece to that too, is when people say, hey, well, if you're a local, like some people don't allow locals at all, regardless, which I feel like is kind of short-sighted, right? Especially because of the way the space is right now, is at least here in Dallas. There's tons of people doing remodels, so they need somewhere to stay while they're getting their kitchen redone. So you're gonna get a lot of locals, right? And that can be a lot of potential lost revenue. So it's not a one size fits all. You kind of have to flex, right? Be flexible. I don't know, I kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but to kind of, resonate what you mentioned about being able to have the cadence or understand the language of the guests to know how to navigate, right?
Let me just, sorry, because there are 3 things that are amazing for anyone starting on Airbnb right now about what Mike was mentioning. 3 things real quick. 1, communication. I tell this to my BAs all the time. With the technology you have nowadays, you can actually automate hospitable to answer questions, general questions. You can automate it to answer about AC, deposit, early check-in. You can automate all of that. And I'll always tell them, I want a human on the other side to put a human perspective on top of the automation. That's why you're here. So you need to understand that part of, what questions you want to ask based on the profile, their questions, or the length of stay. That's one thing. Another thing is minimum stays. If you, a very, very common error when you're a newbie is, you wanna get the calendar booked and you have a one-night stay and one night orphan night. It's a Friday or a Saturday. You can also put systems in place. If you use a smart, a dynamic pricing tool, you have rules to put in place where if your minimum stay is 2 nights for the weekends or 3 nights, if you have an orphan night of 1 night, to be able to be booked, But you can also put a rule where if it's an orphan night of one night to increase the price, and that's what I do. I have a rule that it says, if there's an orphan night, only one night in between two bookings, and it's a Friday or a Saturday, you can let people book, but you're gonna increase the price 40%. So you're paying a premium for staying one night on a weekend.
Okay. Man, both of y'all touched on some key stuff. Y'all talked about occupancy, y'all talked about locals, and you talked about when to say no. Man, so on the when to say no, sometimes it's hard to say no, depending on how much that booking is. You know what I'm saying? That booking might be like, 3-4 bands. You like, I don't want to say no to that. So I'm gonna tell you a situation that happened to me down in Houston, man. This dude requested a book. It was like $3,500 for a month. I was like, damn, on a 2-bedroom. I was like, damn, man. I'm like, I don't know if I want to reject that, but he had a 3.5-star average rating. So I was like, well, let me do some background information. I said, I start sending him questions like, well, why are you coming to town? And I'm like, and I was straight honest with him. I'm like, hey, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. You have a 3.5-star average rating. It looks like you've been a problem at your previous people. And he's like, no. It happened at one. Well, he was like, it was one guest that left me a bad review. He goes, he left me a bad review because I guess he said the washer and dryer was broke and he didn't want to fix it. So we talked and I accepted him. Dude was the guest from hell. Never was. Dude was the guest from hell. Like everything, just complaining. Accidentally complained that he got locked into the apartment, not out, into the apartment. Just all types of shit, right? So then he asked to cancel the review, the reservation because the place was pink. So I'm like, okay. So I remember I'm only communicating through the app. So Airbnb, I let Airbnb, and then what he did was he took he was the guy who took the smoke detector off the wall. We took it off the wall and took a picture. Norman hits me up. He was like, hey, bro, you got to go ahead and call Airbnb. He goes, have somebody call Airbnb because he goes, he can get you in trouble for that. So we called Airbnb. Airbnb cancels the stay, but I got to collect all the money from him for it being a long-term stay because I had all the proof that he wanted to leave because it was a pink room and he took the smoke detector off the wall. So
even for the nights he didn't stay.
Yep. They hooked the brother up. Not checking.
That's a win because for every situation, it's only happened to us twice, but then some other folks that I know of too. Regardless of what happens, I've seen that they do not get any money for any nights that they have not stayed. Yeah. So for example, I'll let you finish. Go ahead.
Oh, so I was gonna say, in order for that to work, you have to have all your communication up to date, and you have to let them. That's why I always let them communicate because they'll put themselves out there. Like he straight said, I don't want to be here because the place is pink. I'm like, okay. And then he sends the picture of the smoke detector. I'm like, okay. And I already know my cleaner I have the best cleaner in Houston. She would have sent that to me, right? So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna let it play out. And then we called Airbnb, got him up out of there. And then funny thing was he started hitting me up after he left because he thought he was getting a refund. He was like, can I get a refund? And I was like, nah, man, you violated the rules. You were trying to basically, what's the word I'm looking for? Drink flowing through me, extort me, right? Ooh. So, so he was trying to extort me, so I didn't give him a refund. So I will say this, from my experience, trust the reviews. Yeah. If they have a 3.5 star, they a 3.5 star guest. Mm-hmm. Don't trust their reviews. Now, another thing, I'll go ahead, Mike, because I have another top point. Go ahead.
On reviews, since we're talking about that, I've heard that some people, I don't know if this is considered profiling. There's not really a way that Airbnb will probably counter or change this in the future because it's important for this very reason, is that some people, if you have 0 reviews, if they don't already have security deposits as a part of their normal process by default, then if you have 0 reviews, they'll say, hey, we're going to, because you're new, so on and so forth, you have 0 reviews, we have to require a security deposit, which is refundable. In that case, is that valid? Is that legal? Is that profiling? It makes sense.
Well,
but in those situations, I mean, because if you think about it, and even now more than ever, since the remote working and travel and so on and so forth, there's probably more. I don't have the statistics. More of new folks on Airbnb now than ever it has been, right? Because of this influx.
There was a number that most of the guests nowadays booking, there were new guests. And as a host, you always get that when you list a new place, not always, but sometimes you get that question. It's like, oh, I have some concerns because I see you don't have any reviews yet. So the same way that guests do it, we can do it as well. And I think it's very valid. My team, what I'm doing is I'm always asking to verify their RT. If they don't have verified, I'm not taking. That's another very common error when you're new on Airbnb. You want to get bookings. You want to fill the calendar no matter what. I was like, oh, I don't want to ask them their RT because I just want them to book and accept it right away. No, just ask them to verify their RT. Don't accept third-party bookings. We actually had a problem with that. That, it's touching on 2 points that you were mentioning. Accepting a booking for someone else on behalf of someone else, and also the communication on the chat that Myka said, you got to keep it on the chat. I had a person saying, I'm going to book for a client. Okay, it's been a calendar that is a property that haven't been doing, excellent. It's been doing okay, and he was asking for additional discount. He said it's a client of mine. I'm going to book for him. I said, okay, and she's going to ask you. He had really good reviews. I told him, I'm going to let you book, but send me the ID of the person staying in the property. He was I gave him a really good review, but it was a slow month. We just wanted to make sure we're, covering rent and making some profit. The guy stayed. That the person who was communicating, so the person who booked was a little bit pushy on some requests, especially when the water heater was not working properly, and so he was very pushy, especially when we were so kind and offering a discount. But then when the guy checked out, the place was a mess. All the furniture was rearranged. It was very dirty. Closet door broken, missing a lamp. So there were a lot of things that were wrong. So we put a request, an air cover request. Anyway, the guy he was very pushy on. I don't want to have a bad review, but my client said that he left everything impeccable. So probably someone came inside after he checked out. The thing is, it came down to Airbnb paid for the extra cleaning. I told him, okay, I'm sending you $25 for the lamp that is missing. And he said, I'm willing to give you extra money to get a good review. Tell me how much I need to send. And my BA who worked for Airbnb, she was very quick, and she was like, that's extortion. Don't give him anything. Don't ask him for anything. So I put very big capital letters. I put like, this is totally against Airbnb policies and ethic procedures. If Airbnb is monitoring this conversation, I want to be very clear. I'm not accepting any money for a good review in turn of leaving you a good review, right? I put it like very big. But man, you got to be careful with that, because they can use that against you.
Ooh, you just touched on something. You touched on another thing, third-party reservations. I'm going to tell you why I don't accept them. Unless they're at my timeshares, I'll let you do it all day, because hell, you got to put a card. So in order for you to check in, you have to give your ID and put a card on file. Other places, I don't accept them. And the reason why I don't accept them, because it turns into too many lines of communication. A lot of people will say, oh, we'll call them at this number. No, you communicate with your people. So that's why I don't, if you're a third party, don't come to me. Don't buy to book any of my places, except for if you're, at the timeshares, I don't care. But like any of my places that I own, we're not doing third party. If you're not showing up, don't book. Then, now another thing about locals and third party, because a lot of people will third party a local because, like Mike said, people are having houses built, things of that nature. And then, Mike, you touched on something very important. The locals is also a very market dependent thing, right? So in Dallas, you will have a lot of locals booking because they having houses built right now. Houston, same thing, houses being built. So they're not necessarily trying to, they just need a place to stay, right? Now in Arkansas, where it's smaller, I'm not accepting no locals because you can keep your ass at home, or go to a hotel, that like straight up, because it's just the market of it. And the one time we accepted locals, they had a whole party in there, and then they had a big ass sign outside of my house, and the police went over there, and it was something like Keisha's Get Fucked Up party, and they were having a huge party in there. They had it on this big ass yellow piece of paper. My cousin took a picture of it and sent it to me. It was like Keisha's Get Fucked Up party. And they had this party at my place. So, we had them all removed or whatnot, but it was throw up and blood everywhere.
Oh my God.
So locals is very dependent upon your market. So remember that locals is very dependent upon your market. And you guys talked about one night stays. I do not accept one night stays, even on orphan days. I won't even mark it up, because the reason is I've learned to sacrifice occupancy for revenue, right?
Yeah.
So usually in between, like, because I remember I get longer term stays, mid to long term. I'm like, is that one night really worth a $3,000 booking that's coming in? You know what I'm saying? Let's just say I mark it up to 500 for that night, right? Is that 500 really worth a 3,000 booking that's coming in? And let's say they destroy the place, and now you're at a $3,000. I'm like, is it really worth it? So you also have to look at that as well. That's my rant and rabbit hole on stuff.
I agree. And the one night we only we let people book one night just in the next 30 days, not later. And again, it's just with at a premium, right? If it's a weekend. If it's a weekend and orphan night, it's gonna be on a premium. So you gotta pay, and that's only on apartments, not in houses. I'm not gonna.
What do you do to protect yourself? Like, let's say they go in there, they pay the 500, and they had a biggest Project X party ever. How do you protect yourself? Like, okay, no, for real, they have a big Project X party. How do you protect yourself of the next guest coming in? So then, hey, if they fuck up the place and that next guest can't check in, what protections do you put in place?
Well, in theory, well, if you have proper insurance or any kind of insurance, I know they will protect you for the loss of the upcoming bookings.
That's another question. What's your
Well,
premium?
I was gonna say, and that's if you hit your premium. I mean your deductible, right? Which
Yeah.
in most cases, it's $1,000. They have to do $1,000 of damage, or in your case, like you said, it prevents you from if there's all those bookings you have to cancel is worth $1,000, then it may be worth it or more.
No,
right?
Let me ask you something. Now,
Airbnb air cover should do that now too.
I was going to tell you that air cover should be covering you for that if you are losing upcoming bookings that are from Airbnb, right? They're not.
Air cover ain't covered shit.
Micah's got proof. Look.
I'm about to give y'all the full rundown. Air cover ain't covering shit. Now this is what happened. This is twice. Remember that time I had the guest y'all seen the TikTok I did or the reel I did with the bed being broken, right? Mm-hmm. Now I had to cancel a guest because that bed was broken and it wouldn't be available. I asked them too, and I was like, okay, this guest broke the bed. They admitted to breaking the bed. They said, yeah, I broke the bed. We're willing to pay for it. They paid for it. But I'm like, okay, it took 3 or 4 days to get the bed there, and I had to cancel a reservation. Air cover said, oh, we can't cover that. So Airbnb is full of shit. Once again, they selling a bunch of bullshit. Air cover doesn't have, unless if anybody out there, send me an Instagram DM if air cover has covered a reservation that you had to cancel due to a previous guest, or if they've covered if they've covered loss of income. I might be doing it wrong. If I'm doing it wrong, I'm doing it wrong. But it's happened twice now. So that's my air cover rant. It ain't covering that. It's covering a bunch of air bullshit, but it
is. Man, something important I wanted to ask you guys about.
Okay.
And Mikey Brown just stepped out a second. Let me see. But we can start talking to it and then bring Mikey Brown in. I'm calling it the rent increase tsunami that's going to happen, and it's already happening. Mm-hmm. And so, for example, Federico forwarded me an email we got from a client in oversaturated Houston. On top of that, so saying that his rent's going to go up by $325 a month, and it's already. I mean, okay, Houston's already a tough market, right, for the oversaturation. And so this rent increase is gonna really hurt. Now, what I was gonna ask you, Myka, and I'll ask Mike Brown when he gets back, what would you do in situations like this where you're making okay money for a guest or a client in a neighborhood that might be, or a place, the city is kind of saturated, but like this, if they stay at this place, their rent increase plus your percentage you're getting paid to manage it is going to really, I mean, they probably won't make profit. What would you do in that situation to help out the client?
Me and Mikey B are actually in that situation right now. So basically the rent went up on our new renewals that came in. So the rent went up, right? So now the rent's going up, and it's went up like his rent went up. Mike, how much did your rent go up on that one bedroom?
$230.
So his rent went up $230, right? So now you have to look at it, okay? And then I'm gonna touch on Houston because Houston's very interesting. So we've already assessed that people are willing to pay more due to inflation and rent increases. So we'll renew, right? Now in a situation like Houston, you're already struggling to get people in there because it's saturated. In that situation where I know the market probably can't sustain the rent increase, you can either change your target avatar or walk away. And what I mean by that is Houston's is a very sophisticated market. I'm doing pretty well in Houston because I'm doing things that an amateur can't do with their calendar. Like I said, most of my places are mid to long term. So I've manipulated my calendar to attract those people. Most people aren't going to do that. So I'll say this: if your market can sustain the new rent, go ahead and stay. And is it sustaining it to the point that you're making the profit that you want to make? If it's not, then I would walk away. But if you can, simply stay there.
I guess my thing is we're managing for him. So, and we're taking our 20% cut, you know what I'm saying? So same thing. Here's the thing. I'm kind of leaning towards we'll give them a break on the percentage we charge for management if they're going to stay there, if it makes sense that way. And here's why, because I would rather get some money from their already existing, listing with us than them just leaving that place altogether and getting $0.
That sounds good in theory, right? That sounds very good in theory, but you have to look at it like this. Is that money worth your time in your resources? You have to look at it like that. I mean, a lot of people say, well, 0% of a deal is better than no deal, 0% of a deal. I hear people saying that, but I'm like, is it really worth your time and resources? Because I'll go ahead.
If we have our systems in place and our VAs can take care of that listing fairly easy because they already know it inside and out, and it's not really going to add any more time.
But doesn't that put strain on you if you're going to decrease what you're already making off of it? Right. Yeah.
That puts. Why not do that for all your other listings?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. The things what happen with the rest of the clients. Are we being fair just because yours is not performing?
But the other reason why I say this too is, are you then enabling that client to continue to pursue a venture that may not work otherwise under normal conditions, right? Like I think, and maybe this is the next level or the evolution of co-hosts and property managers. And I get it. The reason why they don't do this now potentially is because, you may lose some clients, right? But if you are educating your client in a way and giving that transparency on, hey, the margins, are starting to get slim. We need to either make some changes or you need to reconsider, when those renewals come up. And that's one of the reasons why I said, hey, for anyone that's co-hosting, make sure that when those renewals are going to happen for all those arbitrages, so that for one, you have the calendar in place to be able to potentially block off or get ahead of that and say, hey, are you still going to renew? Let's take a look at the numbers from the past couple of months or past year or so on and so forth. Because to be honest, I don't know, maybe your clients are different, but I don't know how often those clients are actually looking at the numbers, and it's especially have multiple properties in a portfolio, right? Like how well are they doing individually as opposed to overall?
And further into that, this is my question to your client. What is your client's end goal? If their end goal is to make a certain amount of money and that rent increase ain't going to give it to them, plus you taking your regular percentage, I don't think it's worth it as a client. Go ahead, Federico.
No, I was going to say, this particular client, he wants to keep investing on Airbnb because the first months we did over there were very profitable. We started off very well. Now, if I look at the timeline and I listen to what people are saying, they're saying that from September last year to now, there was an increase of 60% on short-term rentals in the Houston market, right? September is when things start to slow down, especially going to slow months. So that particular property was the worst performing property in our entire portfolio. And of course, your client, sometimes clients they take it on this as an investment. A lot of people jump into Airbnb as an investment because they see what a lot of people talk about, that it's a great investment. You make all this income. You can make it passive if you give someone to manage it for you. But the reality, is that sometimes some markets get challenging, And I've been looking very closely to market dashboards in price ups. And that's the most frustrating part, because I go this particular property was depriving my sleep, because I was going to sleep like, what can I do to get more profit here? But people are not willing to pay in this market right now for more. So when I look at the market dashboard, I look for the numbers for similar properties in my area, and I look what we were doing better than the average. So it's not that I was doing something wrong. It's not that we were doing something, that we're missing something. It's just like we were not getting the bookings because there's no people are not willing to pay what we were asking, to make the profit that we're looking for. So that's something that is happening, man. I mean, I think there's certain, if you want to jump into Airbnb right now, you need to make sure you are educated. I think that's the main goal, because it's like everything else. It becomes this gold rush where you see a lot of people jumping into something, and a lot of people sharing their success stories. And the truth is that you can make that, but you need to have the tools, and you need the resources, and you need to be prepared. A couple of years ago was Amazon FBA. Now it's Airbnb. And there's going to be something else, and there's crypto and things like that, right? There's a lot of businesses, but you need to educate yourself in order to be successful. That's, for me, the main thing.
I think Airbnb is running into an issue or short-term rentals. It's going to, I think short-term rentals in Airbnb is here to stay. It's just the host type is going to change. Yeah. So people who are just in this to get rich or get a quick buck, those days are over with, because it's now sophisticated. I think the people that want to make a sustainable business, get wealthy, I think that opportunity is still going to be there. And I think that's what Houston is oversaturated with. So if you look at Houston and Atlanta, a lot of their hosts, even when you talk to the people down there, if you go into their groups, who are the hosts there? You have to look at who's the host. 20-year-olds, young 20-year-olds trying to make a quick buck. So if you go to like a vacation rental market, you know why they're still sustainable? Who are the hosts?
Seasoned professionals.
Yes, seasoned, older professionals. And the people that go there are going there with a team. They're going there with team and knowledge. The Airbnb, like we said, Airbnb exposed short-term rentals to all this lights, glamour, Hollywood. Who's all attracted to that? Young kids. And they're hopping in, and they're, like, I talk to people, young kids on Airbnb who do Airbnb, and they be saying stuff that don't even make sense, bro. Like they'll be like I'm hearing people, and due to certain channel, people have, it's so much knowledge out there, right? People don't even know what a millionaire is anymore. They think if you make $1 million a year on Airbnb, you're a millionaire. I'm like, you got to have assets to be a millionaire, brother. You got to, your assets take away your liabilities, make you a millionaire. If you run around bragging that you don't have no assets, like the only thing you have is cash, bro. You ain't even close. So, and I'll let Steve go. But yeah, it's just, look at who's the host in that area. Like places like Dallas, Houston, Atlanta, it's going to be a lot of young people in there because it's just so flashy. But go ahead, Steve.
I guess you brought up a great point, is the assets part of it. And that's what's getting exposed the most with the rent increases, with the, let's say, mortgage increases, the taxes increases, everything, goods increases. Is like, wow, when we were a couple of years ago, we were making like 20-30 grand a month. People were saying I was making that cash money, and they thought they were set. And all of a sudden now the margins are getting slimmer and slimmer. And you mentioned earlier, well, they might pay more because of inflation. I would combat that a little bit, because not only is inflation attacking us from this side, right? And the newbies are coming in droves from the other side with the low ass priced, Airbnbs. So they're giving people like this badass house or the 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condo for like $100 a night. So we're fighting against that. The newbies coming in, they just want to make, I got to make rent. I got to price my thing, race to the bottom, price it low. And the other end, inflation's eating our, asses. Not to put it. And so we're stuck in the middle.
Let me tell you something real quick.
Go ahead. I'm about to hit you with it.
Let me tell you something real quick about inflation, because I know inflation is a hot topic in the US. And I can present myself as an expert on inflation, because, as you know, I live in a country that has 50%. This month, the inflation in my country was 4.6% a month. A month, not a year, a month, right? what happens with inflation, because I know we discussed, is like, okay, when we charge more for guests, that takes time to adjust, because inflation is going to hit first on the operating costs, and then the small businesses are going to raise their what they charge and their profits later. It takes time to adjust. I see it here all the time. We have inflation because why? Because you're gonna combat your providers, energy. You're gonna combat those prices going up, right? But then the small businesses are the ones that need to stay competitive. So you can't raise the prices as you want to match the inflation as fast as you want. So there's gonna be there's gonna be a time to adjust to the inflation rate when it comes to the end small business. I think you are gonna see that happening.
Lay it on us, Myka. Lay it on us, Myka.
So the reason why I say people will pay it is because of who your target avatar is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're catering to people who are getting a house built. They're willing to pay that increased charge. Hell, they're going through inflation. They getting a house built. They know the full brunt of inflation, right? Because
it's blunt.
Yeah.
Well, that too. But they know the full brunt of inflation because look, their material costs are going up. So they understand, hey, we're gonna have to pay more because we know rents are going up. So you got to think about it. If the rent's going up, is your average person who's good, let's just say someone who's not going to arbitrage the place, are they willing to pay that rent? They have to be. Mm-hmm. And if you ain't willing, you about to be homeless, bro. Sorry. But you know what I'm saying? So people are willing to pay that. So if that rent goes up and everyone's rent is $1,800 for a 2-bedroom, and now you have to arbitrage the place, they're willing to pay it. But on the other side, let's say you own the property, you own the asset. My mortgage stays the same, and I'm now going to charge what you're going to charge as the arbitrage spot, and I'm about to make a bigger margin.
Only problem with that, I mean, your mortgage don't stay the same if you're doing the escrow or whatever, and a lot of people do escrow, right? So I did. It happened to me one time. I had a house
in Texas.
Yeah, well, I had a house. I have a house, still have it. It was $1,500 a month mortgage, whatever. All of a sudden, taxes shot through the roof, you know. And it went from $1,500 a month to $2,000 a month, my mortgage. And I was like, what the in 1 year? In the first year I bought it, you know, so the first year I got grandfathered in at the low tax, whatever. Next year it just skyrocketed, dude. So yes, mortgages go up too, not just rents. Mortgages
depending on where you invest. What did I say a year ago when I did a 1031 on that condo? I said taxes in Texas is crazy. And what I do, you know how much I pay in taxes a year? $600. That's a 3-bed, 2-bath house. So it depends on where you invest.
Yeah. Texas don't have no income tax, but they get you on the real estate tax.
Yeah.
So if Texas has no income tax, the people who are buying houses, their income is steady. You know, they ain't paying no income tax. They willing to pay more for goods and services. But go ahead.
Here's who I love, because okay, apartment complexes, they're gonna nail us. They're gonna fucking nail us. They know the drill. They have the percentages, they have the charts. Okay, most people hate moving more than anything in life, and get a root canal or have to move your house. People get a root canal, right? So most people hate moving, and they know they got you. After that first year, they got you. They might throw a couple jabs after the year 2, but year 3, ooh, you're gonna see an increase. And especially if the rents are climbing like they are now, they're gonna nail you. You know, 250 is the norm, or you know, people are getting 500 rent increases, $500 a month rent increases. But they know that people most likely aren't gonna move. Now that includes us, arbitragers that are doing corporate leases, because we paid all that money, got all that furniture in there. We're running a business out of that place. They know that. What are we gonna do with all that furniture? You know, we're not moving nowhere else, right? So we're gonna have to sell all that crap or put it in storage or give it away. So they got us. Now here, like I said, going back to what I started this. Here's who I love the most is individual. If you're gonna arbitrage from an individual owner, either a house or a condo or a townhouse, because they're not gonna. From my experience, they're not going to gouge you like an apartment complex is going to gouge you. You form a relationship with them. You take care of all the small issues. They don't have to take care of shit. And they love you. You pay on the first 6 a.m. in the morning that rent check's in there. You know, they fucking love you.
Steve,
I
So
know what
they
Mike was
love
about
you.
to say.
Yeah.
you
So
just
they-
said your mortgage went up by $500. They ain't about to take no loss, bruh. If
Yeah, they're not gonna take-
up to 2,000. You about to pay 2,300, man.
They're not gonna take a loss. Okay.
Especially when they see how much money you're making. If they go and do their research, oh, I didn't know this place was on. It's making this much on Airbnb, this much on VRB. Wait a
You
minute.
got fined, man.
I'm the short end of the stick here. Like, wait a minute. Like,
Okay. Here, let me.
but this is
redo
this
it.
is
Let me
also the
redo it.
reason why they say when you do that approach is you need to lock in a 2 to 3 year
2
lease.
years.
Yep.
Yes, 2
Because
years.
then you get those rates locked in.
2 years
Hey,
locked
you
in.
might have
Yes.
a landlord ready to murder your ass. You lock in a 2-year lease and that mortgage go up $500. But go ahead.
Okay. What I meant to say was this is who I love the best is individual owners who own it outright. All right. So boom, there you go. So they're only paying the taxes every year. And then so a tax increase won't kill them. They're still making profit off
That's a
you.
fact, man.
Now, how do
Yeah.
you know if they own it outright? I'm sure there's ways to
Propstream.
find out. There you go. Propstream.
Propstream.
Yeah,
Okay.
you can get on Propstream and tell.
Oh, you just laid a gem on the show. Prop.
Man.
PROPSTREAM.
I don't know what Propstream is, man. You don't use Propstream.
.com, right?
Oh, man.
Propstream.com. Is that what it is?
Yeah, Propstream.com. It
For our
costs money
listeners
a month.
out there.
Oh, let me tell you. Let me break the game down to you. If you really
Break it
want,
down.
if you really want a bunch of arbitrage units, I use Propstream to buy. But if you want a bunch of arbitrage units, you can get on Propstream, find out how many properties that one owner owns, and it comes up every single one of them if you don't have it in LLCs and trusts.
Wow.
Yeah, I found a dude in Arkansas owns like 11 million in properties. I was just like, damn. But yeah, you can find that out on Propstream if you have a membership. I use it for cold calling. Mahogany's actually in her room right now doing cold calls. So
Nice. How much a month is Propstream?
I have it at a discounted rate. I mean, I'll let you guys know. Go ahead and I'll let you guys know how much it is.
No, because that's the biggest gem of the show so far. Because if we can find out who owns these properties outright, plus how many properties they own, man, that's a big in right there, right? I'll take all your properties. Give me all your properties, and you don't have to worry about.
I mean, sorry. Well, I'm gonna say this real quick. I'm gonna let you go, Micah. So, as a co-host or a property manager, one thing that you should be doing for this is a step above, right? This is kind of evolution. Is for those clients that are doing arbitrage in homes by owners, if everything has been good, they should be reaching back out to those owners to ask that exact same question. And or you can do the research on your own and offer that as, that could be another service, right? I don't know. But being able to help them grow and scale, because I'm sure all of them want to grow and get additional units, get additional revenue. So and they may not be thinking about that, right? They may not want to ask the owner, hey, can I do another one? Now, depending on how good you are and how well you've been operating and the communication with that owner, because some people, they just pay the rent and that's it, right? They don't talk to the owner or anything, whether it's on the co-host side or even the person that's arbitraging, is they should be reaching back out to you. So this has actually happened to us on 2 of our properties, where they say, hey man, hey Mike, I know you're doing a great job, love what you're doing. We're about to buy another property. Do you want to do the same thing on this next one? And so you want to have that kind of relationship with those owners, right? Because once you get into that position, the world is your oyster at that point.
Yes, forging great relationships. That's everything in business, right? Relationships, and especially with their owners, man. I love that. Here's something that come up with one of my owners that I don't have a tight bond with. I tried to be cool with them. They're not. Issues, man. Issues. We had to go and replace that dishwasher ourselves with our own monies. But we were making decent money there because this guy was, oh no, just tilt it, just put it this way, it'll still work and it won't spill up.
That's when we had to change the garbage disposal as
I'll
well.
have to give y'all the game on that to save y'all some money, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah. It hasn't been the smoothest thing, but he leaves us alone for the most part and we make our money. That's good. It is a 30-day plus place, and so but it's right by a hospital. We've been putting travel nurses in. It's actually probably our most consistently profitable unit because we get just put straight travel nurses. Boom, boom, boom.
Mm.
Haven't even missed like one day of this place because
That's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's
not even vacancy.
We were scared to do it because it was 30 days plus, but it's just the location and the amenities, and it's a nice place. Anyways. here's what's happening. He's testing the waters to sell the place, right? And so he said, well, because one of the stipulations he needed to know who's going to be every travel nurse that's going to be there, just their name, number, and email. And now he's saying, okay, well, I'm going to sell the place. I can sell it to you guys, which the price tag was way too high, what he wanted. And he said, or I'm going to go ahead. My agent's going to reach out to your guest and start scheduling, so she could start scheduling tours.
Oh, the tours.
And I was like, oh shit. Here's the thing: travel nurses, they work, midnight shifts, they work double shifts, they work all kinds of crazy shifts, and now they got to contend with people coming into their house at all hours to do tours. And I was like, dude, I said, and we're already close to the end of the lease, which is good. And I was like, man, this is really gonna kill what we got here, because this is our business model, because we're catering to these travel nurses. They don't want people coming in and out, and if they're sleep at odd hours, and so what I recommended is if you're gonna go this route, it's fine. Let's just go our separate ways, and that's it. Clean break, and it's better for you too, because when you bring people to tour the place, it's gonna be perfectly spotless clean, and everything's gonna be set up right. So it's not gonna walk into a travel nurse's dirty place, especially a travel nurse with a dog or whatever the hell. And so he doesn't want to let us go. He kind of wants us to at least go through the lease. And I'm like, shit. And I guess the travel nurse that is there right now is okay with it. But what about the next travel nurse? What if they're not okay with it? And that's what I tried to explain to him. He goes, well, it should be sold by the end of the month, maybe this and that. I don't know. He's asking a lot of money. But if it's not sold by then, then we could probably work something out. And I was like, well, work something out. She's May 1st, she's done with her lease. I like to get someone locked in before then. I know it's a month and a half away, but I want someone locked in already. And I'm not going to start advertising to people if I think that there's going to be tours going on. And then as soon as I'm gonna, full transparency, and they're gonna say, I don't want that. I work midnight shifts. I don't want to wake up and let people walk through my house, whatever. So this is a unique. Yeah.
How about this? How about because we do this at least for our homes, not for like anything that's 1 bedroom, or maybe even some of the 2-bedroom apartments, is we have the 3D tours created. What if you offer to the owner and said, hey, we'll cover the costs, it's under $200 to get a 3D thing done with the place, is clean, staged, everything, and then you offer that as an opportunity to do a virtual tour for the people that are interested, which for people that want to buy, I mean, maybe it's a little different than renters, because they want to put their hands on stuff and see how it really is. But it's just a potential concession. I don't know.
Yeah, like you said, you just said it, people that are going to rent might sign it, like if they just see a 3D tour. But someone's going to buy it, especially for $200,000 for a 1-bedroom condo. They're going to want to see that up front, up close and personal. And my argument was him. He said, you want them to step into the cleanest possible place they can step into. You don't want them to step into something that someone's living in, right?
Yeah.
So, 2 things you said. You really bring up what's the most sustainable business model, man. Like, we got to let owners come show their properties because they want to sell, man. And this came to bite you guys with the whole getting banned thing. So that's one thing that comes up. But you guys talked about the owner is shit. You had to replace a dishwasher. 2 things. One, if you were at an apartment complex, they would have replaced it. But on the flip side, we've talked about this before. You got to have American Home Shield. You could have got a new dishwasher for $125. I literally just got a whole new sink in there for $125 because of a leak. I was like, I called American Home Shield. It was leaking. It caused a puddle at the bottom. They were like, hey, man, your faucet's leaking. They replaced it. Brand new satin stainless steel faucet with the thing that comes out for $125. So that's for one. And then the other thing is, we have to. That's why I love Live, Let Thrive, because I think, like Steve said the other day, we don't talk about what kind of sheets to use, mattresses to use. We're in the business sustainability phase. What is the most sustainable way to keep your short-term rental business rolling? And I think that's where we are. And this stuff y'all are talking about is great stuff for people to know. Hey, if you're going to arbitrage, And from a private owner, he might be a crap maintenance dude, you know, crappy on the maintenance side. And he might want to sell the place. Now you got random people in there walking around, your traveling nurse who's trying to get some sleep. So this is all good stuff, man.
Yeah, that first month we were there, the toilet started leaking. I changed the fucking toilet seal, man. I was on my hands and knees changing that crap.
Look, we're 5 years in, Steve.
Yeah, we're learning.
The first year in, Steve was over there scrubbing toilets, man. Cleaning up.
Hey, we've all been there at some point, right? So,
all been there.
But I told Steve, you
at
got
the ground floor.
You can't.
That's how you learn.
Toilets. Now you over there changing toilet nut bolts? Nah, man. You gotta get you an American Home Shield over there or something, man.
This was like our third or fourth unit, man. We were still in the baby phase of our company, so we were willing to do stuff like that. Now, Home Shield, real quick on Home Shield, you're certain that you can put that on a place you don't own. You can put Home Shield on a place you don't own.
Yeah, if you're a renter, hell yeah. If you don't own it, yes, sir.
All right, I just making sure because that's a great.
But be careful if it's like an apartment complex. If it's a house, perfect. But an apartment complex, that goes back into what Mike said. That might lead into some liability issues if they go in there, jack something up. They're liable for it, but at the same time, it's still the apartment complex's stuff. Go ahead.
Okay, so condos. What about condos? Because HOAs only
are they? Yeah,
they only do the outside, so the inside is all you. You got to fix all
that's
that
all
shit.
owner.
So Home Shield would go out there and there'll be no problem.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I would say too, to on the arbitrage for homes, when you have a landlord or owner that you're doing that with, is put it into the lease that you create or in the addendum that if repairs exceed a certain amount, then they should be, done in a timely manner. And maybe if you want to put that kind of language in and how many days or weeks that should be, then you can. And if not, then you are held responsible for all of the revenue that's lost because of canceled bookings and or quality of the dwelling being inhabitable because of this deficiency.
But let me tell you something about that, Mike. If you bring that up with the owner, you may get into the conflict that goes against what Steve was saying of getting a good relationship with the owner, right? And sometimes it's like what's the best for them to pay $200 to get this replaced, and I'm winning this battle, or win the entire war, which is making sure I'm having a good relationship in the long run to do more business. It's a complicated thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's based on threshold too, because for us, we do 250 or lower. So anything over 250, then I mean that's really on them. Because let's just say this: if it was $1,000, would you guys have done the same thing?
No.
Now, if the house is giving us $10,000 a month, yeah, we probably.
I see. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah,
there's always a threshold. There's always a threshold.
Check it out.
Yeah, exactly.
Would you on a house, right? So American Home Shield, if you have the platinum plan, it's $125 for a call out. Could you save yourself by saying we do anything over $125? Then is basically, I'll write off to you because you just send an American Home Shield to fix it.
Yeah, I mean, well, American Home Shield, they only do appliances though, right? Like they.
Oh, bro, they got. If you get the platinum plan, they'll do appliances. They'll do
air conditioning,
heaters,
hot water heaters, everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Man, hey, check it out. They even now have a plan that you can add on for like I think $35 a month. They'll come fix the TVs. No bullshit.
Have you done a luxury rental or like a cabin or something like that? And then
I'm gonna pull it up real quick and I'll go over. You guys go ahead. Let's pull it up and I'll let y'all know what you can add on.
I do like Home Shield, but they're getting a little more slick. They're getting a little more hip to the game. There's I called them out there for an ace heater unit, and it was really cold. The downstairs heater wasn't kicking on. And so there's certain things they don't really cover anymore. So they're getting hip to the game. I got them for $7,000 the first year I had them, so I'm still playing with house money, right? For my personal house. I put them on all my houses. I have Home Shield on all my houses because I don't want to get hit by a $10,000 AC unit or something.
So I just pull mine up. It depends on what plan you have. So if you have platinum, they'll come do rekeys, fix trash compactors, sump pumps, stoppage, toilets, refrigerators, ice makers, whirlpool tubs, your tub in your house, water heaters, steam boilers, microwaves, ovens, pipe leaks. They even do preseason AC checks. So if you need to have your filters replaced, they'll come and replace them. They'll actually do that for free. Dishwashers, cooktop stoves. Now the other plan, I'll let you guys, I'll have to find it, but the other plan, they do have an add-ons that you can have where they'll actually, come fix TVs, things like that. It's called an electrical thing. I think they'll even come fix your Xbox and PlayStation. But yeah, it's something to look at. What I am planning on switching from Home Shield to Airbnb once they're here.
Now, here's the thing I was thinking of, especially what I went through with Home Shield this last time. It wasn't as smooth as before. They started, we don't cover this, we don't cover that, more out of pocket, whatever. Anyways, it wasn't as smooth as before. They just hit them up and they fix it and that's it. They're done with it. So my thing is, would it even be, especially if you have a lot of units and they're giving you pretty good profit, would it be better to just take, I don't know, $2,000 a month from your profits and just set it into an account that's going to gain you interest and say, this is my maintenance account. Boom. Every month I'm going to put $2,000 in, $2,000 in, $2,000. Something happens, I could pay it out of that account. I mean, is that better to do than paying all these money? If you have like 40 units, paying 40 different Home Shields, paying all that money, it's kind of like that money's disappearing. To me, it's just going to Home Shield, $75 a month.
That's what insurance is though, right?
It is what
it's there if you need it, because when you get that hurricane or flood that comes through, you're gonna wish you had it, like kind of thing,
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. But to your point though, you think it's smart, Steven, because that's what property management companies do. That's what apartment complexes do. This is the reason why in many cases they have the level of rent that they have, so they can be able to put aside something every month. And then I think you mentioned this before, maybe somebody else mentioned this before, condos do that, right? Because in order to pay for the things on the outside, they got to be able to have reserves.
Yeah, the HOA reserves,
yeah, HOAs, HOAs. So one of the exact prime reasons right there is so they have those reserves. It's up to you whether or not you want to, put that in an interest-bearing account. There's not very many, accounts that give you, good interest like that nowadays. But I don't know if it would be best served potentially to invest that money into an individual that you can then hire, not only to do your own properties, but then to do other properties. And that helps strengthen that vertical, right? That you have in your company. Because that's a pillar. That's just a pillar, just like cleaning is, right? Like a cleaning company. You
might as well pay what you could do. And I think what Mike's getting at, you might as well just pay a handyman to be on retainer. But if something's broken, they have to replace it. That's on you out of pocket. That faucet, I ain't have to pay for that.
I lean more towards good insurance and Home Shield than making a stockpile of fund. You know what I'm saying?
Me too.
I lean more towards let them handle it.
And maybe you can even be more smart about it. Maybe it's based on the age of the home. Maybe you only do it on the ones that are really, really old, when it's going to be a lot of issues, so on and so forth, depending on when it was renovated. And so Airbnb, I haven't been exposed to it yet, but that's probably one of their major reasons why they do their huge checklist at the beginning. Because I'm sure they have some kind of statistical model. They can put all those inputs in and say, okay, these are all the model numbers, serial numbers. This is when it was made, installed, blah, blah, blah. Here's the projections are when it's going to go out. Because and one of the handyman told me this, there are certain HVAC systems, certain appliances that are notorious for certain things, right? This model number XYZ is always going to have this issue in year 5 or year 10 or whatever, right? And you know exactly when it's going to happen. But, the normal operator for STR isn't going to go into that level of detail to be able to kind of pull that stuff. So I think maybe that's how you can potentially diversify, so you don't have to be heavily weighted all on American Home Shield or all in the other. That makes sense.
What you just said is very, very important. And that's a knowledge thing, right? Your typical host ain't going to look into that. That is a very much a knowledge thing. Like, even if, like, my AC unit, when I first moved in my house, I think I had an inspection And the guy was like, I'm gonna keep it 100 with you, bro. You're gonna need a new AC unit real soon because that thing's gonna go out because it has the old Freon up in it. It's old, right?
Mm.
So well, guess what? I had to replace it 2 years ago when the pandemic hit because we was running that bad boy. But he already knew he had marked me down that I was gonna need it, and he was from Arkansas, where my people from, and he was like, "Bro, don't worry, I'm gonna hook you up." He gave me a new system for like 6 bands, so it helped me. Yeah, so he hooked me up. But yeah, and what he did was he already had all that information down. He was like, "Bro, that thing gonna go out." And that's basically what I think Airbnb will probably do. Like, now, I don't know if they'll tell you like right at the beginning, "Hey, bro, this is gonna go out," or they, or
wait until it happens.
You know.
And now let me ask you something, and let me share something. First of all, do you do scheduled maintenance at your properties every certain amount of time?
Say it again.
I have quarterly. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah.
He was saying, do you have maintenance scheduled for the property?
Every certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Because we're doing that right. We're doing it right now, so we're doing a quarterly as well. Replacing AC filters, checking the batteries, checking all the door codes and everything, right? So that's one of the questions. The other question is like, and this is a suggestion for anyone out there trying to manage, get the brand and the model of every appliance you have in your property, and search on YouTube for the common problems.
Yep.
So you already have a plan in place. There are certain things, for example, there's one property we have that for some reason the stove it starts beeping out of nowhere, start beeping, and it doesn't stop every like 10 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. Super annoying. In the beginning for guests, it was like, where is that coming from? Because the last place they think of is the stovetop. They look at the microwave, and they look at the fridge, and they look here, and there. Now we know is that we have the video, and I have my BS train how to resolve that. And basically, they have to go to a breaker, turn it off, turn it on again, right? So there are certain appliances and certain properties we know the problems they have, and we have the troubleshoot already in place.
That's good to know. I mean, and to your point, I think, to be honest, again, evolution of co-hosts or property management is, at least at a minimum, just the appliances. If you can get the HVAC system, great. Is have that a part of your inventory checklist when you take over a property as a co-host, right? So you have that data. Not saying you have to do all the research initially, like you mentioned, for that kind of stuff, as it comes, start to build that into the communication. But
exactly.
I think that's critical, because even if you do have to hire a handyman that's, third party or so on and so forth, you can equip them with that information so that they could better do their job, right? So maybe they can look this stuff up before they get there, so on and so forth, depending on what the timing is, because that's critical. It could save them an extra trip even coming out to the place if they already know what it is, or what it could be at least.
Yeah.
So,
our handyman is your handyman, Mike Brown.
Well, I have another handyman too. I have 2 other handymen.
We got 3.
Now what?
Okay. Now what?
Hey, there you go. You gotta have a backup for the backup, always, right?
Always.
I'm working on my backup, man. He be kicking ass though. But yeah,
yeah.
Go ahead.
It's some funny stuff. One of our arbitrages, the owner wants to sell it. So we got 3 owners that want to sell us arbitrage. And I touched on it on the last show. One of the benefits of arbitrages, if you form a good relationship with the owners, they'll sell direct to you without you want to buy off market. That's the best thing, buy off market.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You don't want to bid in war. So we're in the process of trying to buy this other one that we really, really like. And so she came at us and said, would you like, I want to sell it to you guys, whatever, at this price. It's an okay deal. The other one's a really good deal. So we're starting the process with the other one first, right?
You can send an okay deal. This
no, I wouldn't mind that. But the thing is, I already told a buddy of mine at work, from work. He's always been asking me about all this stuff, and I said, "You really want to get into it? She just sent me this. If you want to go check it out." And he actually went and checked it out and everything. And I don't know if he's gonna buy it or not. Anyways, what I was wondering, what I was getting at, just fell out of my head completely altogether, man.
No, I want to listen to this because you were talking about one of your plate people selling you a deal. a good deal and one of them was an okay deal, because I want to talk about that, because I think we should have went in more on that on Clubhouse. But go ahead.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. Because what part of it did you mention? You mentioned
I said, well, on Clubhouse or now?
on Clubhouse.
Oh, on Clubhouse, I was saying one good thing about arbitraging is to have a good.
Yes.
If you are, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you form a good relationship with the owners, and so man, I forgot where I was going with that.
So my question is, how good is this deal? I might need to hop into an arbitrage down here if this is a really good deal.
It's a base hit. It's a base hit. I don't know if you're all about base hits. The other one's more like a double, maybe a double. But this, it's not a screaming. What are the numbers?
Yeah.
The numbers are good. like you want me to tell the price of the place and all that stuff?
Well, so maybe you never thought about this, but maybe you could buy the place, which maybe since you know the industry, maybe you don't want to do that. You can buy the place and then you can have someone else arbitrage it and for a higher rent potentially. You ever thought about that?
No, that's a decent play. So that was part of
that's a good
that was part of it. That's a double right there. Now that's the now here's the thing, my buddy, he's actually kind of interested in buying it, whatever. And and one of the reasons that he thought it was a decent deal, because I said, well, you can just continue, you have renters in there, we pay on time every time on the month, we keep everything perfect. And so that's actually a plus for him, and so I was walking into the I guess that was my main point was forge strong relationships with the people where you arbitrage at, and then they're gonna try to sell it to you first, right?
Why don't you wholesale it to them? You know me, I'm all about making money. I would have wholesaled it to the employee and to the friend, like, shit, I got a deal for you. I would have locked that bitch up.
No,
yeah.
I know what you're saying, and that actually is kind of a possibility on the other one. That's a really screaming deal.
That's an arbitrage wholesale? Oh, man. Imagine that. Like if they give it to you at a deal, at a decent deal, the numbers work. If it's less than 30% margin, you can wholesale it. Wholesale it to hey man, I got this deal locked up for $195. Wholesale it off. That's what I said. What's the numbers? I'll take it.
And the thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, Myka, can't he get a better loan? Or can he get a better loan because he has the data now, whereas it's 12 months or whatever that is, on the rent prices that he's been able to capture from that, right?
That's more multifamily.
Okay, multifamily. Okay, all right.
Yeah, if it's single family, what he could do, he'd have to go like a DSCR route, and then like somebody who's just going to look at the income of what he has coming in, and they would, but still your interest rate's still going to be higher on DSCR.
Let me ask you something about the emotional component, okay? The emotional component of doing that.
Okay.
There's only one thing that I feel bad about is like these people, they want to sell us at a good price of properties because they like us and they think we're going to keep that place and they have an emotional attachment. I know I should get it and then resell it like this for profit. It's great. I should feel a little bit guilty.
You can do that. Yeah. I mean, does it have the capacity for a remodel, like to upgrades? And
we can add a room to it. We can add a second. They knocked down a wall and made it a big 1-bedroom. We can put that wall back.
What area is this?
Oh, the neighborhood.
Oh.
But how much is it? I mean, if Arlington new,
how much we paying?
No, but I'm saying like Arlington new construction is $100 a square foot in the neighborhood. What you pushing per square foot for a new build?
Okay, you said Arlington is $100.
It's more than Arlington, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, in order to say it's a good deal, I got to know the numbers.
Okay, I'll say it like this.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, since it's going to be a remodel for an existing, I think that's a better play than a new build. No,
sir. I'm saying this: if you're going to add a room, that's new construction. Whenever you add square footage, that's new construction. They're going to charge you as a new build. Yeah, that's new. Any new con in Arlington, new con is $100 a square foot. So over there in Dallas, I know I'm gonna say at least $125 a square foot. for new construction. Because if you adding square foot is new construction.
What if I call my homeboys from the hood and they put a wall up?
You can
just make sure you got the right permits, because they'll make you tear that shit down when you get ready to. Yeah.
What's a permit?
Because I'm very interested in making that play. Like, hey, if I can arbitrage with this person and we make an arbitrage deal and our relationship's strong, and I can come back and they'll sell me the property at a good price. And you know me, it probably ain't going to be a good price for me because I'm arbitraging it. So I know it's up to par. So my whole thing would be to wholesale it right off top.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. Like Federico said, they trust you. They're giving you this good deal, and then you're just going to turn around and sell it for more behind them. Whereas if they would have listed it on the market, they could have sold it for more anyways.
Yeah, that was my point.
Well, I mean,
welcome to real estate, my friends.
Well, I guess the thing, why are they selling it? Is this their only one, or what's
no, it's the owner's only one, and they're in the process of trying to buy a house. So they're they're wanting to sell it.
That was the point. Both of them have like this emotional attachment to the properties.
No, they don't. They have to sell it till they can get a new house. That's a motivated seller. Hold on. They need to sell the house so they can get a new house? Oh, that's a motivated seller. You got leverage. So if they got motivation, I mean, they're selling it to you because you're a quick buyer. You're helping them.
I love that. That's what I need to hear. I just need someone to tell me, go and do it.
Hey, I know.
I just need someone to tell me,
and then once it's all done, you can get them a gift basket, take them out to dinner, all that kind of stuff. And hey, I'm sure they really appreciate that.
You just made a quick 50 grand off you. We'll take you to dinner. You know what I mean? I'm for real. Think about this, man. Think about this. If the reason they don't want to hit the market and go, they probably don't want the headache of 50 buyers.
Exact. Yeah.
They don't want that headache. Yeah. I know.
It's a lot of work. I ain't gonna lie.
That's a lot of work. If Argis Rentals is already in there, they're taking good care of the property. I don't have to have an appraiser come out. They're just going to buy it at this price. You're helping them. You have to look at it like that. You're helping them. So then you could go and wholesale the property if you wanted to, or if it's a good deal, keep it.
Here's what's funny about the whole deal, right?
Okay.
I brought my buddy, we just talking to him at work. I want to go see it. Yeah, I want to go see it. I'm going to bring the wife. We want to check it out. They're getting all interested. I'm like, oh shit, they might actually buy it. And so I meet them over there on lunch break, and they check it out, and they have never, this is going to be their first rental property. If they do buy it, I don't know if they're going to buy it. They're asking me all these questions and this and that. And and they said, well, we really wanted our first one to be a 3-2 house, whatever. And I was like, okay, well, here's, that's good. 3-2 houses are nice, all day long. If you're going for appreciation, and if you're going for equity, then that's great. That's the best play, because a condo or a townhome, they're not going to appreciate nearly as much as a house, right?
Depends on the area, man.
Depends on the area.
Yeah, depends on the area, yeah.
But
if you do the reno, the sky can be the limit.
Yeah, you're right. But for the most part, houses appreciate way more than condos and townhomes, and you can still buy a whole bunch of townhomes and condos for under 200, which you cannot buy houses for under 200 anymore. And I told him, if you're going to look for a decent 3-2 anywhere in a decent neighborhood, I'm not saying top-notch neighborhood, you're going to be spending around 300 grand, right? And if you're going to put a regular renter in there, you can hope, and if it looks nice, if you do a good job renovating it, you could hope for around $2,000 a month for rent. If you do a good job on it, 1,800 to $2,000, maybe 2,200 if you do fucking knock it out of the park. Anyways, so, and it was funny because all these words are falling out of my mouth, and I'm like, and I'm saying, well, this one right here, you can buy for 165K, and we're making, and he asked me, how much do you make on it a month? And I was like, 3,000 to 3,500. And I don't know. I was like,
you gotta work on Steve's negotiation practice, man. You're giving the wrong information. Look, man, you need to go find.
Don't say that.
Because what you're doing is you're now.
I know. I'm gonna push me out.
Because what's happening is, because even if you were to wholesale this thing, you have to consider this too. Are you comfortable taking that whole wholesale check and walking away from the deal? Because remember, if he's gonna buy it, your rent probably gonna go up. It has to. Right.
I'll offer this insight. So I will say, if you are planning to stay there even after they sell it, we already talked about how transition of hands, whether it's management, ownership, can can change things, right? For your lease and whether or not they still want you there, so on and so forth. And this is only one case study. We've been able to show one of the partners that I have. He's actually trying to sell a house now. He's selling it under market value. It's a 3-2 house in Dallas proper with the Dallas zip code, 5 minutes north of Love Field. He's been on the market now for 90 days and he cannot sell it because one of the major stipulations that he has, because he's currently the owner and he's doing Airbnb out of it, is that because the way he has it listed is what do you say? Currently has a tenant, currently has good tenants, so on and so forth, which he's going to be the tenant. He's saying that if you buy the property, he can still continue to operate his Airbnb for up to a year, and then that's it. So
red flags all over that.
Well, I know, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's one of the reasons why it hasn't been able to sell. Because my first question to him would be, okay, you're making all this money on Airbnb. Why the hell are you selling and wanting to keep it on Airbnb? like what's wrong with the property?
He wants a big chunk of cash is what he wants.
He wants the cash flow. And I would say one of the caveats too is that unfortunately, due to lack of management, so on and so forth, they have gone way down in the past couple of months. And so when you get your ratings to a 4.2 or a 4.3, one, you attract the wrong kind of guests that are trying to get over on you, and then two, I mean, people aren't looking for a 4.3, 4.2 property nowadays when there's so much competition in Dallas.
We have to keep it a buck. He's selling it because he's doing a shitty job on it. Yeah. So if he was him saying that, I mean, if he's just talking to a regular investor, they probably wouldn't care, like a regular buy and hold guy. But if he came to me with that deal, I'd be like, what's really going on? Like, it's no way. Hey, I'm making 60, 100K a month off this house, but I want to sell it. Why? You know what I mean? So
I agree. I understand.
Yeah, because when you start seeing, and this is where I think the Airbnb space is evolving. People are now starting to build houses for Airbnb, like Derek, where he's putting things in it, making it more viable to the investor, and people selling things to, take influxes of cash like that guy's trying to do, and then still make money on the back end. So I think it's really evolving, man.
Here's another thing. And you mentioned it last time we were all together about getting a big electric bill at one of your arbitrages, and you were saying that it was probably for the people that are, what do they call it,
remote workers.
Remote workers, yes, staying at home all day on the computer, blasting your AC, whatever, or heater. And so this
Bitcoin.
It is it is funny whenever you say something on the show, it fucking happens to us, me and Federico, all the time. Always. And so we got an email or a message from the owner of the house that we're arbitraging in Euless. I mean, badass. This fucking house is printing money.
Beautiful.
And I love it. It has a big swimming pool, has a sunroom. I mean, it's gorgeous. Anyways, she said, hey, I just got an electric bill. It was almost $700. She goes, I've never had an electric bill that high. I've lived here for so many years. And we're like, oh shit. And so
it's inflation.
No, that ain't inflation. That's something else.
That's somebody in there with their feet up kicking it.
I know, man. I know.
But we did have
blame it to someone. We need to blame it to someone.
She's so sweet, this girl. She said, and it was a cold February, so I kind of understand it, but still, it was a real high bill. What can we do? And so that's when I reached out to you guys, right? And so Myka gave the advice, which is use the energy Ogre. We talked about, we're gonna reach out to them. Maybe they'll throw us some money, whatever.
I got another thing on that one too.
Okay, so you pay this company $10 a month, and they move you around to the best plans all year round to get you the best deals. It's something you could do yourself, but it's going to take a lot of time to just keep moving your shit to another thing and another thing and plugging into a direct deposit and put on your information. You just give them your information once, you pay them $10 a month, and they move you around hoppity hop, and they check what your usage is, and they match you up with the best plans, whatever. So we told her about that. But Mike Brown came up with a thing, solar panels. Tell us more about these solar panels, Mikey Brown.
Yes. So what you could do in this scenario, and it's $700 and we haven't even hit summer months yet.
Woo.
That's kind of startling. So one of the things, and I talked about this before, is for every investor, and maybe even for co-hosts in some cases, when you're picking up a very, very old house where there could be some issues, have an inspection done. It doesn't cost that much money. If you want to have an energy audit done, that's another next level. That's some benefit to you, because that's going to help the client save money, and they'll be grateful for that. But then also that talks about speaks to preventative maintenance in a way. But on the solar side, in this scenario where you've got that much energy usage, it would make sense. This is Texas. There's a lot of sun for you to do solar. Now, a lot of the solar projects that they have now, depending on where you're at, there may be like community programs, but at the very least, what you can do is invest in solar. They have a lot of programs now that are $0 down that you can to opt into. They'll come out, do a survey, do the permitting, get the solar installed. You may have 2 or 3 days of downtime max to get it installed once they get everything permitted, in a way that allows you to basically flip your utility bill, and you basically have a fixed rate. And I'm almost certain that it'll be way less than $700 a month for whatever that situation was that you had. And you as a co-host and or as an owner, not only can you potentially take advantage of the tax rebates that are available, which I think it's about 23%, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 21, it's 20, it's in the lower 20s that you could take advantage of. And I think the cutoff is 2023, if I'm not mistaken. I can give you the information to put in the notes, Myka, for this. But essentially, you can also negotiate with the owner to get a portion of that as well, because it won't go to you because you don't own the property. Now, if you partner with the right vendor, you can also get a referral fee, which can be up to $1,500, $2,000 to referring that person to be able to do solar. Now, where this really comes into play is if you're going to be under contract, whether you're doing arbitrage or even as a co-host, this could be an upsell. As Myka talked about before, I'm sure he can share the data that he's done on the Tesla Powerwalls or the Tesla's chargers. You can integrate this solar in with the battery storage and a charging station. And so it really doubles down on not only revenue potential or increase, but also kickback for you as a co-host or even as an owner for being able to do solar. So that's my rant. There's also some other things in terms of reducing carbon footprint, so on and so forth, because this obviously goes above and beyond what Energy Ogre or any energy company can do by default. And it increases the property value. So, in that scenario, if you have the right appraiser involved in the conversation and you're transparent about what has happened in terms of those upgrades, that can increase the property value when you get ready to sell it.
You have to be careful on the property value thing, because you do get a tax kickback. Solar hasn't increased property values as of yet. Like, you can't, and this is what I asked, because I was going to get solar. I'm like, how much will it increase the value? He was like, well, we aren't to the point where it's being calculated into values yet, right? So
you don't have the right appraiser. That's what it comes down to.
Meaning, but this is the problem though. Even if you have the right appraiser, is somebody going to pay more because solar panels are on there?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I can share the data with you on I can share the data with you on that. I mean, so there are, I don't want to get too deep into it, but there are certain designations that you can have as an appraiser or even as a realtor to be able to properly evaluate that. Like a normal appraiser, this is something that they're more or less bypass, right? And or they're not going to properly evaluate it in a way that is going to increase the appraisal of the property, essentially. Because there's a certain way that you have to do it. the same thing goes into play because I mean, I'm on the sustainability side, energy efficiency side for commercial projects, and we deal with this all the time. And the same conversation or battle comes into play if you upgrade your HVAC system, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, real estate has come a long way to where they know exactly, how to do that multiplier or whatever that is, right? If you just install a new heat pump system, it's going to be way more efficient than something that's been there for 15 years kind of thing, right? You can't tell me that's not going to have a higher appraisal value, right? Because that's something that has been trained and something that's more of the norm, right? So it's a little bit different with solar. So you definitely have to have, I mean, I can connect you with some folks if that's something you're trying to do right now. And let me know what the results are. Because
I would do it because I just have to know it's going to increase value because that was my thing. Because I like a couple coworkers, she did do it, and she was to sell the house. The new people, they was like, we ain't paying for that solar shit. No, for real. So they was like, so she would have been stuck with that bill. So if she was to sell the house, she already had collected, I think, 20,000 off the rebate. It would have been on her.
Now, even with this climate right now, where like 100 people are bidding on every house, you're gonna say, okay, you're not gonna pay for it. The next person will pay for it.
Boom. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They're not paying for it because of solar. They're paying for it because of demand. They're not paying for it. Oh, look, give you 50 extra thousand because you got some solar panels up. I'm saying they're paying for it off demand.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
But the thing is, okay, so when you get ready to sell that house, or when they sell that house, Steve, they're not going to disclose your bill is $700 a month or $500 a month.
Of course not.
So the thing is, I think that all comes with transparency, right? In my opinion.
Yeah.
So when you say, hey, we have solar because this is going to give you a fixed rate for the next 15 or 20 years, where we know that the price of electricity is going to increase. I can't remember if it's 1.5%. I can't remember what the threshold is per year. That's guaranteed.
I remember
regardless of what's going on right now, that's going to happen regardless. If you know that's going to happen, if you have something that's going to be fixed instead of variable, it only makes sense, right?
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
If it was my house and I'm Airbnb-ing it, I would definitely get solar.
Yeah. And this is another thing. I just remember what this guy said. He said it's worth it if you're paying cash. Because if you're not paying cash and you're paying for it on a monthly basis and you sell that house, that's a $20,000 surcharge or whatever to that new owner. You see what I'm saying? But with the market being so hot right now, yeah, somebody will pay you. You can sell your house with solar panels right now and get all your money back.
Now here's the thing. If you're financing it out and they, I don't know, let's just say $200 a month is the agreed upon monthly, you'll never pay more than that, right?
Correct.
And that's including financing the unit, the solar itself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when someone buys it, can you just pass that to them and they're gonna and that might be a bonus. Hey, your bill will never be over $200. You get this house. I mean,
the 3.2 for the 3.2 that we have in North Texas, I think when they ran the numbers for us, the bill was not going to be larger than $130 a month.
Beautiful. That's what we want.
Oh, it's like you can't beat that. I mean,
that's financed out too. That's financed out.
You tell me it's not going to be more than 130. It's going to be more than 130 if I don't do it.
That's financed out.
See, that's what I'm saying. You're going to save money because my whole goal, like 3 years ago, was to get a solar panel and then get a Tesla battery pack. Because I'm like, man, I'll be off the grid damn near. But the thing was, that's what came up. I'm like, because even appraisal is one thing, because at the end of the day, it's what is someone willing to buy it for? You know what I'm saying? Appraisal works with lines of credit, getting approved for bank loans, things of that nature. Because that's what I was wondering. I'm like, and then with my friend, my coworker, it's my old coworker, she was like, yeah, they weren't really interested in paying for that solar. Because like you said, it's a $200 fixed cost. But if you're now buying a top of the market, that $200 fixed cost can be a lot.
No, but that's included your electric bill too. That's your whole thing. Your financed amount and the electric bill is going to be $200. That's
Mike,
for a house.
Let me ask you a question totally ignorant about this subject.
This is good.
If you get a solar panel installed in a house, can you move it to another property? Can you pay someone to move it?
That's the problem. I don't know. That's a question I don't know.
Right. Are you stuck with that? Can you pay someone to to the same company to say, okay, I'm selling the house. I want to move to another place.
There
I don't
are
think so.
30
It
days.
wouldn't be worth the cost. You'd lose
Yeah, I
money
don't-
in that scenario.
Okay.
Right.
I don't think it's
Okay.
Now, what you can do, so for the people that are doing renovations, I think this is also for residential. I know for sure it's for commercial. Is if you're doing a renovation and you're doing a roof replacement, if you do a solar system at the same time you're doing the roof replacement, you can offset up to 50% of the cost of the roof replacement if you're doing solar, because it'll be considered an integrated system based on the attachment.
You know what I
So-
like? Oh, go ahead.
So in that scenario, for those people that are doing the renos, when they're doing roof replacements, every single one of those should be doing solar installations at a minimum.
What we should do if we hop into the multifamily space, I do think we should put those on multifamily properties because I think on the commercial side, it's guaranteed to increase value, because remember, it's based off what you're bringing anyway, because it's commercial, it's a different type of loan. I do think, I just haven't seen it on the residential side. We got to go deeper into that and see. But yeah, on the commercial side, hands down.
Yeah, and even on the multifamily side too, unlike residential, like single family, they even have rebates now for the solar chargers. I'm sorry, not solar chargers, the EV charging stations.
Mhm.
I think Toyota has a grant program set up, and then there's some other ones for nonprofits too. But basically, they're trying to give money to multifamily property owners, because if you think about it, the at the trajectory and exponential growth that we have right now currently for EV vehicles or electric vehicles, people that live in multifamily need somewhere to charge. They can't. It doesn't make sense for them to drive to work to charge every day, especially now since we have the whole remote situation, right? They're not even going to work anymore. So
Hey,
I think that's it.
that is a play. That's why I put them in there. And I was at one of our apartment complexes, and I noticed something. There's no EV chargers here, and there's somebody sitting parked in the corner with a Tesla charger. And I'm like, they missing a big opportunity here. Man, yeah.
I need to use a little outlet. Like, they don't charge as fast.
And it's funny, I've been putting Tesla chargers in a lot of my places. I was down in Arkansas where I invest, man, and I got off the freeway to go to one of my properties that I'm rehabbing. Those assholes are installing a huge EV charging station out there. But I was like, no. This is the good thing, because I talked to Al Williams, and Al was like, he goes, you're still in high demand. Who the hell wants to sit out there and charge up their vehicle when they can be charging up their vehicle in their house laying back?
Yeah.
Al broke it down. He goes, that's high demand. You're still in high demand. You don't want to sit at no Tesla charging station. You ain't at your house. You know what I mean? So
Al is the goat. Al is the
He
goat. I wanted to ask you something. Man, we're going on a long time here. That's good. It's good. Episode 200.
break it
We're
up.
just rolling.
Yeah.
hey,
The juice is flowing. So look.
Yeah, let's get to more controversial stuff.
Controversial stuff. Okay, here's a very controversial subject right here. Patios. Not You're like waiting for what? What the fuck?
Too much sun. Look, no sun.
So going back to arbitrages, we got a couple of good, really nice arbitrage houses. Now, one of them there's no shade in the backyard. There's no overhang. There's no nothing. It's just a big slab of concrete. Of course, we're not going to pay for it to build something to give shade right there to make a nice patio. I've seen some decent Wayfair options. What would y'all do? You got a house. You want to make a nice backyard where they can chill out and stuff in the 100 degrees Texas heat. What would you do?
Go ahead.
I was like, I got the perfect solution for you. You purchase one of those sun sails or multiple sun sails where you're going to have an overlay situation. It could be some that are triangular shape, could be some that are square shape, and have it to where you have the hooks that are tension with like wire or whatever, or rope in that case, to be able to provide shade. And also it still provides sunlight through it as well. So it's not, so harsh or whatever. That's worked very, very well. A lot of properties that we have, it's something that you can attach to the side of the property, even if it is an apartment complex or a condo, and it's not, so intrusive. Because yes, it is very, very cost intensive to try and do, you know, a wood pergola or some other type of metal shading structure that again, you don't own the property, or if you don't own the property,
That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point, because I tell Steve all the time. That's a conversation we have like very frequently. It's like, what are the amenities that we can add to our properties that are gonna not increase our costs, but bring us the highest return on investment, right? What is the biggest ROI we can get into certain amenities for our properties? So we're discussing about that all the time. And man, for example, let me give you one specific example. We had two properties in an apartment complex that they have a balcony. And for some reason, we took over those properties, man, and those balconies were not being utilized.
Yep.
One property was just, one balcony was just nothing in the balcony at all for a year. For a year, a beautiful balcony looking into Fort Worth skyline, nothing.
Oh, someone left a fold-away chair there.
That was in the other one. Man, and the problem is that I never been to those properties. So one of the last trip I did to over there, I went to see that property. I went there and it's like, what are we doing? Why are we not taking advantage of this?
Mm-hmm.
And I order like this. I just order one set of you know, the light, how's it called?
Solar lights.
Yeah, the solar lights.
String lights. Oh yeah.
String lights.
Oh yeah.
One of those. And just a set of, you know, 2 chairs, one small table for $100. Man, we've been getting. I'm putting on a second picture, putting on the title "private balcony," bookings like this. People loved it. Yeah. We're missing that. So I'm always thinking, why can't we add into our properties a small investment that's gonna bring us more bookings? What is a new check that we can add on our amenity list?
Yeah, patios and balconies are huge, man. I put put patios and balconies on all of mine, and I have a grill out there as well.
Grill, exactly.
That's a check mark on the amenities list. So yeah,
3 check marks right there.
I actually, so to your point, Federico, like we on some of the properties where the first time around the photographer wasn't able to get like twilight photos or night photos, right? Because those look nice if you have those string lights. We actually got a third party to do some photo editing to be able to do that for us. It's not embellishment because at nighttime it does look like that. They do work, right? But it adds a different kind of, because think about it. How many listings do you know have night photos that have the lights of their property, right?
Exactly.
Very few. So it's really going to be something that's going to stand out and pop because you got that dark backdrop, the light background, the lights of the interior of the place, so on and so forth. It goes a long way, man. I mean, to be honest, okay, actually taking a step back, if you guys have photos, maybe you've already done this, I wouldn't sell it to them. Maybe you do it as a kind gesture. But for the person that's trying to sell that place, you can provide them the photo, like the professional photos that have been taken to the place with it furnished.
Yeah.
That would draw way more. I don't know what he has on his listing in Zillow or wherever he's posting, or he or she is posting, but that'll draw a lot more people than whatever maybe they have with just empty photos at a minimum, right?
Those pictures are so key to stand out from the bunch, because again, it's like, you know, you start looking. I mentioned this in every time that I speak. It's like, I love to shop on Airbnb. I love to sit down, go to Airbnb and look for what's available on my neighborhood where I'm offering my property. Who else is out there and what product are they offering? All the pictures are looking the same. They all have the same Wayfair, not all, right? But there's a lot of properties that they have the same Wayfair sofa and the same the decor, and they look similar. So it's like, how do we stand out? Man, we did two townhomes in Houston, one next to the other. Okay, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, beautiful places, very well designed by our friend Marty. We partnered with her and some other people over there. And we got a really good photographer. So first time he went there, it was a rainy day. He took the drone, took some area pictures, amazing, pretty cool. Second time he was there to do the second property, it was a rainy day, but then there was this beautiful sunset. beautiful sunset, and he got this picture of the townhomes and this amazing Texas sunset. You know, you have those beautiful sunsets, you know, orange and blue and violet. Man, that's my second
the
picture
colors,
out
yeah.
there.
The dude only charges $100 to go to take some professional pictures, man. And I'm thinking, at first I was thinking, man, that's so cheap. And I'm like, oh, he's in Houston. He's probably doing one every hour. So he's probably making it. He's probably
That's
making
not bad. That's not bad at
$1,000
all.
bucks. He's probably making $1,000 a day doing, you know, one after another. 'Cause it's so saturated out
Yeah,
there.
true.
You know,
There you go.
when you mentioned the Twilight photos, man, you know, and I like, you know, you set up your Zillows how you want to look. You know, I look at the certain cities, you know, Grand Prairie, Irving, Fort Worth, Dallas, whatever. I always look at LA. I like to look at LA properties because I like, you know, if you're gonna sell, everything over there is $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, whatever, for just a regular 332 square foot. But they got to deck it out, and I like looking at their design and stuff. And their photos, they always take Twilight photos, especially if they're up the LA hills and they take that Twilight photo looking out from your house and you seeing all the LA lights. They're like, oh, that looks so cool, man. We don't do that here. We don't fucking do that here, right? In Texas, you just get your professional pictures in the daylight with a lot of light, whatever. But LA, I see them take those pictures, man. Those and then they got the drone.
Yeah,
I mean,
create the ambiance, you know.
Oh,
What are they gonna feel in their heart when they look out of that window or out of that patio, whatever.
The patio, sitting there with your glass of wine, overlooking all that twilight, the sun setting over there. You know, sunsets in the west. And so yeah, when you said the Twilight photos, man, that does fucking tell a story. I never even think about doing Twilight photos. No, that's a great.
Our selling experience. Never forget about that.
Yeah. And you want to, you know, bend your wife over the balcony, that's fine. That's what you want to do on vacation, right?
Steve's exposing what he does on vacation. Okay. Hey, we're 5 beers in.
Man, you're gonna have to do this 2-part episode.
Maybe, man.
This is episode 200. This is big.
Yeah.
This is big.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay, let's share some funny stories. What do you say?
Funny stories.
I want to hear your worst experience doing Airbnb for the people out there. So what was your biggest mistake you made? Some horror stories.
Federico? Oh, you're Federico. Myka? I was looking at your picture.
My horror story?
Yeah, the one that say, "Oh man, it was big."
Remember your story when we very first started out? You told us your story of how they shut down your complex of doing Airbnb.
Yeah, this episode 200. Matter of fact, yeah, we'll do a quick reversal. When I first started Airbnb, I started out of a condo. Y'all can find this story probably on like between the first 10 episodes. So basically, I started off in a condo and the HOA was against it. So Mahogany, she's more of an investigator. She started talking to this older guy who'd been there for years. And he was like, oh, yeah. He goes, they used to be fine with it, He goes, but we had this guy, he was doing Airbnb, but he ended up, I guess this dude started leasing to this dude full time to be like a corporate rental, or this guy just kept booking his place. But anyways, he was basically running a prostitution ring out of his unit. It was out of a condo. And like he would like have these people over there, they'd be having sex in the swimming pool. Like in the swimming pool is like this open area where everybody can look down and see. So he's like, oh yeah, that's when they stopped it. He was doing, he just had, and like he ended up having to sell his place because they were like, dude, you gotta go, bro. You running. And they found out he had this whole prostitution ring, pimps were in and out, hoes were in and out. So yeah, it was that was probably the worst experience, but I wasn't involved with it. I was indirectly involved with it, which had me shut down. So yeah, that was probably the worst one for me.
The family wants to go use the pool, and there's pimps and hoes over there. You got 5 more minutes left, brother. Hurry up.
Oh man, yeah, that was probably my worst experience.
Feta, what's your worst Airbnb experience?
Oh man, there were so many, but I was just remembering one because my friends always laugh at this one. I mean, it's not I don't think it's the worst one, but it's really funny. Talking about renting to third parties, I had this guy from New York who was renting for his friend, right, a girl. So this guy, he was a bald guy. He was in his late 30s, 40s. He made a booking for this friend that apparently was his girlfriend, and she was like 21, right? Mm-hmm. So this girl came over. She was partying. She was bringing this dude that the dude, you know, it was like the lover. So turns out the guy was smoking on the hallway, and at some point I caught him smoking on the hallway and I started shouting at him on the ring camera, right? And my friends loved that video because it's me in my weird accent saying, "You can't smoke in the building. I'm gonna call the cops. I'm gonna call the authorities." And then when I told the guy that, you know, his friend was bringing another dude to the apartment, he got super emotional because apparently it was, again, the boyfriend or something, and this girl was bringing a dude over to the apartment. But yeah, we got a few. Then we got another place that we launched. It was a apartment complex over in Dallas. We got we set it up first night, open it for bookings, local, no reviews. She booked for last minute, right? She came. You know what it says not possible at the top?
Mhm.
I didn't want to take her because she was like, she had this weird story, right? She was like, yeah, I made the I was booked at another place, but they kicked us out, so I'm looking for a different place because the owner lied to us, so we're looking for a different place to go. It's me and my son, and she's my brother, or something like that. Man, they were partying hard until like 3 a.m. Remember, Steve?
Till like 5 a.m., man. That was
5 a.m.
crazy.
And you know, and she was saying that she had a handicap. How do you say it? What's the proper
Autistic.
word?
I think he was autistic.
Okay, yeah, aesthetic son. And she was saying, no, it's my son that is jumping. No, they were partying, and we
They were
could see the
partying
cameras,
all night.
partying and smoking.
We got kicked out of that place.
Yeah, we took 3 bookings, so we had to shut down the place. And then she tried to book another place of ours.
Oh my
Remember?
god! Later on,
She tried to book another place of ours. I was like, no way. And she was like, you're getting sued for discrimination. I already won so many lawsuits. Because in your review, you said I was blaming my kid for the noise.
That's crazy. Mike Brown, what's your craziest Airbnb story?
Oh man. I don't know if it's craziest, but probably the most weird and unfortunate. I don't know. Basically, and I may have talked about this on a previous show, like very, very briefly. So this is earlier on in my journey where I didn't know how to screen guests, and I had a gut feeling that when they booked, that there was something like funky with this booking. One of the red flags, we didn't talk about it earlier, but you know, non-communication from the guests.
Mm-hmm.
They book, whether it's an instant book or request, 2-3 weeks, maybe even a month before. And after multiple like communication attempts, they don't say anything until the day of check-in or after check-in, right? So you know that there's something up. And they were like, oh, the day of, they're like, oh, you know, I did this from my desktop or whatever, and so on and so forth. So I wasn't checking the messages, which I don't know if you guys do this as co-hosts or just in general, is I know that some people say, hey, thank you for booking, blah, blah, blah. We suggest that you download the Airbnb app or VRBO app, whatever it is, so that you can get updated communication, so on and so forth. Because it goes a long way. I mean, you got to think about it. Nowadays, there's all types of guests that are booking, whether it's, you know, young guests, older guests, so on and so forth. So they may not know necessarily what to do. Right. In this case, this person had no excuse. They're like 22, 23, whatever, right? So very tech savvy, I assume. But so they booked. You know, they had some small issues checking in, but we got them in. And one thing, this is one of those scenarios. This is actually, I take that back. It was a 2-day booking. And so I was like, okay, that kind of let my guard down a little bit. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't going to be a party, so on and so forth. It was a Friday and Saturday night booking. And so they wanted to get in a little early. You know, nobody was checking in or checking out the same day, so we let them in early. And then I started seeing like this party stuff go in, like, you know, these, you know, things, alcohol, like other kind of drinks, snacks, all that kind of stuff. I was like, this is a lot of stuff for, just a few amount of people that you said was on the reservation. Next thing I know, people started showing up around 9 or 10 o'clock. People just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. At the peak, I think there was maybe about 17 people in this 2-bedroom apartment, essentially. And so we had the noise monitors, so that picked it up. We also had cameras, obviously, because once I started seeing the people come in initially, I was like, wait a minute, I'm gonna keep an eye on this. And so I don't know so this is another thing too, with your VAs, see if they have video monitoring as a part of their service potentially, or something that you can add on, because that's another layer of protection in addition to the noise monitoring. And so we started to see these people come in, and we're like, okay, well, it hasn't gotten loud yet, so we'll let them, maybe they're just coming in, because sometimes people book a place and they're like, okay, we're gonna pregame here and then actually, do something somewhere else. In this scenario, they did not just pregame; they just stayed the whole night. So it was about maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. They were still loud and rowdy. And the bad thing that made it really bad about it, because the neighbor, they were really cool, and I think they were actually out of town that weekend too, so it was perfect. Is they were congregating on the on the back porch, which is kind of exposed, right? And then at some point, they're also congregating on the front porch. So as you know, that's a huge liability, not only because people can see that, but also the noise level on exterior, not even interior.
Right.
And so we're like, hey, you need to make sure you go inside, so on and so forth. And then, it just got to be too much. And we said, hey, we realize you guys are throwing a gathering or get together, a party. We have to tell you to shut it down, or we have to, have our private security come out there to escort you out. They said, oh, okay, we'll do blah, blah, blah. They didn't do it. So we called our private security out, and they were there within like 15 minutes, I think, which is one of the reasons why we implemented this early on, because we were still learning, so on and so forth. Now, I mean, to be honest, we haven't had to use our private security in like 7 to 9 months because our screening on the front end is so robust. But at that time, they called the security out. They came out and said, hey, you guys, anybody that's not on the reservation, you need to get out right now. They gave them the courtesy of staying the night. They could have kicked them out at that point and said, hey, you got to find somewhere else to stay. But think about it, 2 a.m. I mean, where are you going to find somewhere to stay, let alone an Airbnb? A hotel probably, yeah, but and so in that scenario, they left the next morning, so on and so forth. Now, the bad part about the situation, because they didn't damage anything, gratefully, because we've had people that have stayed longer that have damaged stuff, is, we went to Airbnb and said, hey, we're kicking them out because of this. We provided the documentation from the officer coming, what their fee or charge was, because at that point it was a retainer. And they actually bought a pet too, because we had the cameras, and they didn't disclose they were bringing a pet. So for one, we're like, hey, we need to make sure we get the pet fee for this, and we need to get a charge for the extra guests. Now, I would ask you to guess what they did in this scenario, but I'll tell you. So what they did is they charged the guests for the pet fee because we had the documentation. They charged the guests for the extra guests. Now, what they did not do, which was also on our house rules, is that they did not charge them for the other night that they did not stay, that we kicked them out for.
Oh shit.
So in my opinion, that's kind of a reward for the guests for bad behavior.
Fuck
when
yeah.
in fact they should have been charged for all of that.
Let me mention something about that real quick. Whatever you put on your house rules as extra fees, the Airbnb won't really impose that, into the guests' resolution. So whatever you write on your house rules, like there's gonna be $1,500 for party penalties, there's gonna be this much for this penalty. Whatever you write on your house rules, Airbnb is not gonna give
we've learned that, unfortunately. I mean,
yeah. So what's the way to do it is, for any of those things, you need an invoice. So if they throw a party and you say there's a $1,500 party fee, you need an invoice from cleaning saying that it was a $1,500 cleaning fee that you had to pay to which of course is a lot of money, right? But you need an invoice. Otherwise, they're not gonna impose that fee into them. So whatever you're right, I mean, you can have it to scare people, and I have it on my house rules. It says these are the extra fees for extra cleaning, other removal, additional cleaning, whatever it is. I have it over there. Unauthorized pets, whatever it is. But Airbnb is not going to impose those fees on your behalf.
That's where the deposit comes in.
Exactly. Right.
Yeah.
So you need to keep that in mind. And another thing you want to do is, where you have your additional guest, what's it called on Airbnb when you can charge per extra guest? There's a section, right?
Special fees or additional fees. Yeah.
Yeah. So on your additional fees, let me go real quick and tell you exactly what I'm talking about. But on your Airbnb listing, there's a section where you can determine if you want to charge more for having additional guests.
Yeah.
Here's the logic, right? If your property can host up to 6 guests, you can say your rate is for 4 guests, but if you're bringing in more than 4, up to 6, you want to charge additional money, right? You want to charge, I don't know, $15 a night, $35 a night for additional guests. What I do?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry.
No, that's it's called extra guest fee.
Mm-hmm.
It says after this amount of guests, I'm charging this amount per night. Some people use it again. Some people use it if you want to bring more than the regular amount of people. But what I do is at every listing, I charge more, $30 more after the total capacity of the place. So if my 1-bedroom apartment is for 3 people, I set up that after 3 people, I charge $35. So if I had the proof that more people stayed, I can claim that to Airbnb.
Yeah, I do the same.
Yeah, what I do is for when it exceeds the number of people that can fit in beds, that's when I charge extra.
Mm-hmm.
So granted,
that's
if you have 3 beds, that's what 2, 4, 6 people. Now, granted, even if you have an air mattress or a sofa, if you're gonna bring those extra people, you gotta pay for it, kind of thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, it's either way. I mean,
yeah, but the good thing is that if you use that, you can show to Airbnb, okay, I had 15 people. This is how much I need to charge per additional person.
Yeah.
And
they did that. They because we had all the footage. And the thing about the noise aware is if you have what I think it's still in beta version right now, is if you have the crowd detector, it'll tell you exactly how many people are in the place, like how many mobile devices are in the place at any particular hour.
That's why you need a minute.
Did you get the minute? Did you get the minute email that I sent you the other day? They're testing. They're gonna having a crew to go to properties when it's crowded. Mm-hmm. So they're gonna be providing the security service, but they're testing it in the UK first, and then they may roll it out in the US. But that'll be amazing, man. Have the minute system recognizing there's a crowd and then sending someone right away. That's a game changer.
It's smart on their part, because as they know, as regulations start to come down hard in the US, which I'm sure it's already being done in the UK, that is probably the number one thing that people get shut down for, or there's issues, right? So if they know that they can help prevent that, they're gonna have co-hosts and everybody coming to them to sign up for that,
Man, one neighbor complain and you're done. I mean,
it's funny part, right? Sorry to butt in, but we're talking about our crazy stories. We have Airbnb over there in Dallas, in Lower Greenville area. Not whatever. It's up and coming area, and so we had we got the cameras, we got everything going on, and we noticed one night. Excuse me. I think my wife told me, because she's on the cameras too, but she said, "Hey, looks like your neighbor keeps knocking on the door at your Airbnb, because it's in a little bitty complex, 10, 12 units, whatever." And so sure enough, I'm looking at the video. I look at the video after the fact, and it's the neighbor. It's this white girl coming over and knocking on the door. Nothing. She goes back to her place. She comes back out, knocking on the door. Of course, just looking at the video, you don't hear the sound, right? So anyways, I guess after a few times of doing this back and forth, someone finally answered the door, and she's like, you see him talking and stuff. So I go back to the first video, and I start listening to the audio, right? And so I hear and the guest staying there, tall, slender brother and a voluptuous sister, and so they you already know where I'm going with the story. So canopy beds, don't get canopy beds. Anyways, we put the audio on of this, and so me and my wife were listening to this, and you just hear R&B music going on, and then you hear just like screaming like at the top of the lungs, bloody murder. My wife's looking at me like, why can't you? Anyways. So I'm like, this loud. I was like, God, dog. And it's got thin walls at this place too. So the neighbor keeps trying to get their attention. And finally, I guess they open the door. But the one thing I pointed out was the neighbor come out there with like some Daisy Dukes and like a halter top on, this white girl. And I was like, was she knocking on the door to tell them they're being too loud, or was she trying to get an invite to the show?
Wow.
Because apparently he was doing some damage in there.
Man.
And on that note, episode 200, everybody.
Oh, real quick, man. Real quick. What's going on in Dallas, man?
What?
Oh, I take that back. That is not my craziest story. If you want me to tell it real quick.
Steve, look at the WhatsApp chat. Look what I sent, because we didn't send this to the guys on the group.
The WhatsApp chat.
Look at the WhatsApp chat right now.
My question is that the people that did that?
No. This is a different. They were not staying with us. It was just a property, and they just show up. So for context to everyone listening, Marine camera. There was. Remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah. Somebody came out of my properties like that one time too. Yeah.
Naked.
People, they just don't think that it's there. Like, I mean, you can see it on the wall. Like, you think it's broke? Like,
it was a he, she. Nothing wrong with that. It was a he.
Yeah, that's a different story. Dude looks like a lady.
They got a nice,
like a lady.
But the up tops are nice. They did a good job, the doctor. So what was your craziest story, Mike Brown? Real quick.
So my craziest story. This will be super quick.
Take your time. Yeah.
The message I get in the app is, and this is earlier on in my journey. This is actually our very first unit. This is probably my like the very first issue ever that came up that wasn't the norm. I get a message that says, "Hey, I think you need to come down here, or can you give me a call when you get a chance?" That's all I get in the Airbnb message. I'm like, dang, I don't know what this could be. And I couldn't answer right away. So it was like maybe an hour later. And then I said, "Hey, I'll get to you in a second, blah, blah, blah." And he said, "Oh, no worries. Just call me when you can." So I finally called him, and it was a guy that had booked. It was just him on the reservation, I think, initially. Oh, it was him and someone else. And he said, "Hey, I think you want to come down here and see what the damage is like." He was okay. He was like, I'll pay you for the damage, so on and so forth. And I was like, "Well, what kind of damage you talking about?" Like, I mean, I've never known a guest to come out forthright and say, "Hey, I've damaged anything," so on and so forth. And he said, "Yeah, and he flew down to Dallas or whatever. I guess he came to see, one of his past girlfriends or mistress or whatever." He's like, "Yeah, my wife, caught us in the unit or whatever, and she, threw a tampered, whatever. She was super upset, and some things got broken." I was like, "Damn!"
Oh no!
I'm just running through flashbacks to all these different movies and shows where the place is just super trash. And I just thought the worst. So I was like, all right, I kept a calm demeanor. I said, "Hey, no worries. Send me a photo of what you see or what damages there are, and we'll get back to you." And he was obviously super nervous. He was like in his early 20s. So I'm sure he was like, "Damn, well, are they gonna charge me?" And then this is the time where we weren't taking deposits, so on and so forth. So all through Airbnb. And he's like, "Yeah, I'll pay for all the damages, blah, blah." I was like, "Well, just send it to me." And so he did that. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was. One was a broken mirror. The other thing was like some scratches in the wall, which we just painted and, did some spackling over, and 2 cups were broken. That was it.
Okay.
And he made it seem like it was this grand thing, which I'm sure it probably was in the moment when he got caught and whatever would happen. So, man, those are one of the times you wish you did have a camera in the unit. No, let me stop. but no, I mean, he wasn't injured or anything, but he was like, yeah, I've got to check out today or whatever. You know, I'll still pay for the extra for the days. He still had 2 more days left. And so, you know, we went in and replaced and did what we needed to do, and he paid literally the same day. We sent him the invoice and Airbnb through the resolution. That's one of the times where it was like, and maybe he thought it was going to be something more major, but again, he was young too, but that people have paid promptly without any issue at all. It was crazy, but
wow,
the whole situation, it's like, man, like you flew to Dallas. How did your wife find you, for one? just to catch you guys. Like, I don't know. I mean,
man,
so the
I
moral
have some
to this,
stories about that. I mean, you know, when working for the airline, like people with their miles accounts, trying not to be caught by their wives. Man, I have so many stories about that. People are just trying, you know, they're saying, I'd rather not accrue miles because I don't want my wife to know.
Oh,
seriously. But you know, I was just remembering that those lower greenville units, those are fun to manage, right? So we arbitrage on them, and they're really fun. The ones that I just sent you the video, and it's the same one where we had so many stories. Like this one time, I had this girl staying at 107. We have 107 and 207, so it's, you know, above and downstairs. And this girl is 107 is saying, hey, you know, the guests upstairs are being so loud throughout the week. I don't know if you can do anything. I say, well, we're actually hosting that unit as well, so let me text the guests. And we were looking, you know, at the pictures, and it was one lady, different lady every night. Then we got and then downstairs in the 107, this is a studio unit, right? And this is, guys, trust your gut feeling and don't trust Steve's feeling.
I just want that money.
Remember that one? So this was a studio unit. A lady, you know, she sends a booking. She sent an instant booking, right? And she says, I'm throwing a surprise party for my husband. He's turning 50, and we're gonna have a few people over. I answer right away. Hey Becky, I remember her name. Hey Becky, you know, this is a studio unit. You can't have guests over here. It's maximum 3 people. This isn't gonna be suitable for a 50-year-old birthday. Just please cancel the reservation. She was not answering. I just went ahead and canceled the reservation. There's an option on Airbnb that says, you know, that they're gonna throw a party. I put it over there. They let me cancel penalty free, whatever, because there was an actual party gonna happen.
And it was documented too, that they said
it was documented right here.
Yeah.
Right. Now she picks up the phone and she starts, you know, sending messages like, hey, you know, I'm not gonna throw the party over there. I just want to have, you know, we're gonna stay here. We're gonna do the party someone else. I just want to stay here. Please accept my booking. Please don't cancel. I can't find anything. Whatever. I say, no, I'm not gonna take it. Steve was like, yeah, let's, you know, she said she's not gonna throw a party. My wife was helping us at that time. She was like, yeah, let's just let her book. I was like, no, I had this gut feeling it's gonna go wrong, right? They put 15 people in a freaking studio unit.
Oh no!
15 people. I got back home. I was at a birthday party, and I'm 3 hours ahead, right? So I got like 2 a.m. in my house. It was like December, January, right? Well, I think it was December. Man, I look at the video. I just opened the Ring camera. You know, I was trying to call the phone number, and no one was picking up. It actually was, you know, the return. It was like this phone has been disconnected. So this line has been disconnected. So I just opened the Ring camera. Man, people over here, listen to me. Look at me. If you have an Airbnb, put a Ring camera. All right. Big mistake we did. We didn't put it on the listing that we have a Ring camera. At that time, I didn't know. I thought that you had to disclose that you have a camera inside of your property. So we couldn't use that as a proof for Airbnb. Actually, we got told off by Airbnb. It's like, you need to put something in your listing that says that you have a Ring camera. But they put 15 people. We couldn't get a penny out of that. They didn't trash the place, but it was dirty. But the way that I actually managed to get them out, I just opened the ring camera, the telecom option. I was like, hey, who's out there? Hey, you need to get out. I'm gonna call the cops. And finally, someone picked up and was like, hey, man, I mean, this is not acceptable. You cannot put 15 people in a studio apartment. Get out of there and call the cops. They were out of the place in 20 minutes.
Could you have? I mean, it's a stretch, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could you have said, I don't know if you guys have August lock or some other type of locking system.
No.
Every time the door is open and closed, that an excessive amount of open and close of the door, could have been some type of party or large gathering kind of thing, right? I mean, over a period of time, right? It's different if somebody's bringing in groceries and open, close of a course of 10, 15 minutes, but over 2-3 hours, you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm just thinking outside.
No, we did got it, and there's a way you can get notification for that. There's a website. It's called. Let me find it here. Because it's called If Din Does That.
Yep.
IFTTT.com.
Yep.
And you can actually automate that. So you can put a lot of automation with that, and you can connect your August log, and it says if this log is being active, send me an email.
We did that for our air quality monitoring stuff that we have in some of our properties. If it hits a certain threshold or whatever, it'll send an email or whatever. Because we have it in the app, but unless the VA has it or somebody else has it, they won't get that notification.
Yeah.
So,
And we pick it up through the BA. So we have a BA overnight that her job is to look at the cameras. So I have one specific BA she's doing a longer shift during the weekends, but from Monday till Thursday, she's doing like 3 a.m., which is when the other BA finishes, to 6 a.m., which is when I wake up. She's just doing camera monitoring. And I tell them, okay, what you need to do is you go through each property, you're going to open the camera, you're going to look through the history, see what's going on, but you also need to open the live camera and turn on the audio and see if there's any music or anything going on in the property. Man, and they caught undercover pets, they caught people coming in, sneaking into the properties, they caught parties going on, music and everything, and they have they have this rule set. Okay, if this is happening, you need to text them for this. If this is happening, you need to tell them this.
So y'all kicked out people because of that, or
no, they haven't gotten that already. It was that only one situation, but they do message them saying
warnings or whatever. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I mean, you should always, for everybody that's listening, you should always provide at least one warning to give them an opportunity to correct themselves,
right?
Whatever that issue is. After that, then you can take action for whatever, whether it's calling the police, calling your private security, so on and so forth. And let them know that, hey, we've told you, you haven't complied, so we're XYZ. We're about to do, so on and so forth. So.
Well, this has been a great episode, guys.
Yeah.
We're going on 2.5 hours or more.
Wow, that's long.
And
time flies, man.
This is episode 200. We're doing it with our partners here, our partners in crime. That we're some big things together. This four-headed monster is gonna change the industry, the entire industry. We got fans all over the world, from here to Spain, South America, North America, all over the continents, man. And so we're here to serve you guys. We're here to serve the fans. We love that you keep clicking on us and checking us out and seeing what's going on in this short-term rental craziness going on. So thank you so much. Thank you, Mikey B. Thank you, Federico, the fucker. Thank you, Myka Man. Iron Mike, Federico, Myka Man. Yes. So I said Fetty Facts. That's what his name is. His name would be Fetty Facts. I'm Stevie Stacks. He's Fetty Facts. Mike Brown is Iron Mike. And Myka
I like the
Man.
rhyme there that you did. I like that.
Yeah, that's how I do. Anyways, thank y'all so much. Myka, you got some closing thoughts?
Yeah. Thank y'all for continuing to listen.
To Hundo.
Yeah, 200. By the way, we're gonna have a few clubhouse rooms coming up, so definitely check out our clubhouse rooms that are coming up. We're having another event, I believe Q2. So if anybody wants to fly in, we had a couple fly-ins last time. Want to fly in, kick it with the crew, do that. And yeah, thank y'all for continuing to listen to us, man. It's been great. 200 episodes, man. I can't wait till we hit 300, man. Wait till we hit 1,000. But yeah, so y'all, thank y'all for continuing to listen. And yeah, we got big things coming, and be on the lookout.
Yeah.
Peace.
We are
Cheers.
out.
Salud. Later.
Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Live, Let, Thrive. Be sure to tune in next week for all the latest in the world of Airbnb and all that entails. Bye-bye.